It's 9 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour, the Senate agreed to pass a bill that would end the government shutdown. ABC News national correspondent Stephen Portnoy has the latest.
A lot still has to happen before the shutdown ends. The Senate has to take several more votes to insert new language in a House-passed bill to restore funding to agencies through the end of January. That new language would also require the reversal of any layoffs conducted by the administration through the shutdown. Once that bill passes the Senate, the House would have to come back to D.C. to vote on it to send it to the president's desk. His signature would end the shutdown.
Utah lawmakers are reacting after the vote.
Right after the vote, Senator John Curtis posted saying it's time for a better way, pointing out in the past 51 years there's only been 4 times the federal government has properly budgeted. He's one of 4 lawmakers going without pay during the shutdown. He pointed out in a town hall last week the people continuing the shutdown are not the people hurting.
So the very people who should be having their pay withheld are being paid, and punishing the people have nothing to do with the shutdown.
He says Utahns expect more and committed to working to finding a better solution. Brianna Willis, KSL News Radio.
A reminder that Senator Curtis will be joining Inside Sources live in just a few minutes. Utah and 6 other states need to agree on how to manage the Colorado River by tomorrow. The water deal will outline how to manage the river and its reservoirs. If the states don't agree, the federal government will intervene and make its own plan. Your money at this moment, the Dow up 11 points at 46,998. Coming up, we've got still a few bumps and bruises on the traffic that we'll update you on when we check traffic and weather together next. KSL News Time, 9:01.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
Hard to believe, but Black Friday's here, and you know what that means. It's time for Black Friday money deals at UCCU.
There is an annual tradition now for Black Friday at UCCU where people look forward to, because unlike other Black Friday sales, Black Friday at UCCU is your chance to actually improve your finances.
Like a home equity loan with extra 0.25% off the intro rate, auto and RV loans with no payment for 90 days, low-rate credit cards with 0% interest for 6 months, and $150 cash just for signing up for direct deposit.
It's so easy, and that's just the beginning of Black Friday money deals. Keep going to uccu.com every week for new premium deals that will unlock, and they're things like cutting your auto loan rate in half to earning a higher interest rate on your savings. Enter each week for a chance to win these awesome prizes.
But you got to visit uccu.com every week. But if you come back and enter every time a new deal unlocks, you can win them all. So don't just enter once. Go every week, unlock every deal, and win big this Black Friday at UCCU.
UCCU, you're going to love where you bank.
At Common Spirit Health, we know that lifelong health and well-being starts with primary care. So we have doctors and providers who see you, hear you, know you, and understand you. Because understanding you means understanding your needs. And that leads to a deeper knowledge of the prevention, wellness, and treatment options that may be best for you. It's primary care that treats your whole family like family. It's primary care with human kindness. Discover all the ways you can find and connect with a primary care provider at mountain.commonspirit.org.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance supervisor at a manufacturing facility, he knows keeping the line up and running is a top priority. That's why he chooses Grainger. Because when a drive belt gets damaged, Grainger makes it easy to find the exact specs for the replacement product he needs. And next day delivery helps ensure he'll have everything in place and running like clockwork. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Workdays can be unpredictable, but your workwear shouldn't be. With the Cintas Apparel Plus program, you'll have freshly laundered garments for everyone on your team delivered every week. Cintas has workwear for just about any job imaginable, with high-performance fabrics and an uncompromising fit that stretches and moves with you. Don't leave looking and feeling good to chance. Visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
How do you gain an advantage in the #1 economy in the nation? Attend the Utah Business Forward Conference, where Utah's best business minds share their knowledge about the innovation, resilience, strategy, and relationships it takes to propel your business and career to the next level. Get access to leaders in various industries, from product development and manufacturing to finance and entrepreneurship. Make plans today to attend Utah Business Forward on November 17th, 2025 at Hyatt Regency Salt Lake City. Sign up now at forward.utahbusiness.com.
Emergency traffic on KSL News Radio brought to you by Mountain America's Visa Triple Rewards. And here's the update with Heather Kelly.
Well, the speeds are improving just a bit northbound I-15 through Spanish Fork and Springville, but you're still well under the speed limit for almost 5 miles now between 400 north in Spanish Fork to 1400 north in Springville, where a crash is still being cleaned up. It's been a couple of hours now. All the vehicles are over on the right shoulder, but traffic just sort of scooting by there at a crawl. Once you do, though, you've got good speeds from there all the way into the Salt Lake Valley, just a few brake lights along the way. The earlier crash and the gravel spill, actually, that we had in Provo Canyon, that was Highway 189 near Deer Creek, that has been completely cleared. All the lanes are reopened and the delays are gone, but you still have a bit of slowing coming out of Weber and Davis County on both southbound I-15 and the West Side Belt as you approach I-80. Make holiday lighting smarter this season. Campson Electric installs convenient outlets and smart switches so you can control everything from your phone. Beat the holiday rush. Schedule your install now at campsonelectric.com. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather today, partly cloudy with highs in the lower 60s. Tomorrow, much of the same, maybe just a couple of degrees warmer. Right now, it's mostly cloudy and 45 degrees in Salt Lake City. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
I am Holly Richardson, and I'm joined in studio today by Steve Handy, who's a former legislator and currently consults on energy and other things. So thanks for joining me.
I am so happy to be here, Holly. We've been good colleagues for a long time and friends, and this is an exciting opportunity to come and talk about we got a great lineup today. I'm looking forward to it.
And we're starting right off the bat with Senator John Curtis. Thank you so much for joining us, Senator. Oh, we're maybe on hold. So, are you there, Senator Curtis? Okay. Well, after 40 days and 40 nights of government shutdown,
really?
There's a glimmer of hope. So we're going to talk about that with the senator when he comes back. But you were just back there last week.
Yes, I was. I was with a group called the Conservative Energy Network in the Western Way, and there were about 40 of us from around the country, and we were lobbying last Wednesday about transmission permitting reform. And I was in the senator's office, and he and I can talk about that. But it was kind of crazy times. I mean, fences all around the Capitol. You couldn't get around. We can talk later on about moving. You know, there are tunnels in the office buildings, and the entrances and the exits were closed, and you couldn't get around. It was crazy time.
That is really interesting to me. Were the fences there because of the shutdown, or were they there for security? Or
well, I assume for security, but
okay.
I've been there plenty of times, and you probably have too. And you can move all around the Capitol, but it was just inaccessible and lots of. I didn't see a lot of security. Obviously, it's all over the place, but it seemed like it was actually reduced security around the Capitol, but it was noticeably. But gosh, all the Smithsonian museums are shut down, and I said to you were in the pre-meeting, even the escalators were shut down. Like, why?
Exactly. That's my question. Why? Why are escalators shut down during a government shutdown? Come on.
I don't even get it.
Maybe they just coincidentally were shut down. So one of the things. What is one of the things that has stood out to you in this government shutdown?
Well, I live in Layton, and everything is Hill Air Force Base
in
my area, and
it's
just incredibly frustrating to think of these really great federal workers, not at work, and they have a boiler system at Hill Air Force Base, so they have to keep that going. That heats the base,
wow.
So that they have to keep that going. And one of my friends said about 8,000 workers are still there, but the workforce is about 15,000 civilian and 5,000 Air Force. But anyway, here we go.
We do have Senator Curtis with us. Thank you for joining us, Senator Curtis.
Good morning. I got lost somewhere between here and DC on the phone line.
It's okay. Well, we were just talking with Steve Handy, who's joining me, that escalators were not working. So maybe it's the same thing. So
we'll blame that.
Yeah. After 40 days and 40 nights of shutdown, there's a little bit of hope. There's a little bit of sunlight. Can you just give us a really quick update on what happened yesterday and how long the process might take from here?
Sure, and you're right. There's a little ray of hope. I actually think it's going to work. So yesterday there was a pretty major breakthrough when 8 Democrats, previously just 3 of them were willing to help us. 8 of them said, "Look, this is enough. Let's get this done." And there were some actually really good things that went along with that. We passed 3 of our 12 appropriation bills, and that hasn't happened for a very long time. That was part of the continuing resolution. And if it continues to move through the Senate, we have another number of procedural votes. We'll get it over to the House. That could happen as early as today. But to make that happen, we have to what's called collapse time, and you have to have 100 of the senators agree to do that. And so if anyone holds out, it could take us as long as till Wednesday to get it to the House.
Senator, this is Steve Handy. This is really, really good news. I was in your office, as you recall, a week ago, Wednesday, and we talked about some energy issues, and we can talk about that in a minute. But I also was in your town hall, participated in your town hall last Thursday, and I appreciated the really great explanation about, because there's been a lot of misinformation about why the impasse, and I think you did a great job in helping me actually better understand that.
Well, and if we had an hour, I'd let all the listeners know. But top line is Republicans have tried shutdowns for a long time. They don't work. They've never once achieved our objectives. And for some crazy reason, the Democrats thought, even though we had never had success, they were going to try it. And it just didn't work for them either. And, a lot of it was kind of over health insurance. Everybody wants to talk about that. That's a bipartisan topic, but we really needed to get the government open before we started those discussions.
So one quick last question on the shutdown, and then we can transition to some energy topics. But my understanding is under the proposal that the Senate worked on yesterday and took the vote on, SNAP will be funded through 2026, the entire year. But basically, it's a continuing resolution to fund government through January 31st. Am I correct in that?
Yeah, and let me try to explain the fine difference. I mentioned we passed 3 of our appropriation bills. One of those was the farm appropriations, the ag appropriations, which includes the SNAP. So aside from the continuing resolution that goes to January, we funded those 3 categories for the entire year. And that's why I say this was actually good. We've never done that with a shutdown, to my recollection, that we've actually done some of our appropriating. And by the way, these were good bipartisan appropriations. All 3 of those categories were bipartisan, bicameral, kept spending mostly in check. There was one small exception to that for security. But everybody has a reason to celebrate for those 3 appropriation bills.
Thank you.
Well, very good. Could we talk a little bit about energy, transition to that, Senator Curtis? On October 17th, you had your 4th climate summit, conservative climate summit, and I had an opportunity to participate in that this year. We talked about that last Wednesday. I moderated the panel on sustainable agriculture, what our farmers and ranchers are doing to adjust to the changing climate. And it was very, very insightful. But it was a great conference. We had 600 people there, and any insights about that? You had Secretary Wright zoomed in.
Yeah, so thank you. There was a vibe there that I had not felt in our previous 3 conferences. Utah is really on fire with this concept that we can play a significant role, not just in the country's, but the world's energy future, and that we can do so in a way, like a lot of people say, well, why do we care? Well, for the economy of Utah, we care, but it's much deeper than that. Look, if we're successful, that means lower utility rates. That means other countries are dependent on us for energy. The Utah way is that we give a nod to all 3 principles, the affordable, reliable, and clean. And we've shown how those are not mutually exclusive. And so it's a big deal, and it was really exciting for Utah.
Yeah, I had a great time. I just wanted to say that when I was back there last week, we were there lobbying and educating about transmission permitting reform, and this is the big thing. And everyone talks about it, knows that it needs to be done. And I'm hoping that now that this impasse is coming to a close, that Congress can get on with this because this is so critical.
Steve, it's funny. I keep saying permitting reform, and to be honest, the average person looks at me with glassy eyes.
Yeah.
So let me translate permitting reform, right? For what it means lower utility rates. It means cleaner energy, more affordable energy, more reliable energy, and it means coming from Utah. Now, how does that all come together? Right now, the federal government is so tied up in knots about approving projects that we're not getting them going. When we don't get them going, utility rates go up. We have to buy fuel from our adversaries. So clearing that federal backlog, that bureaucracy, and not skipping steps. Nobody wants to skip the important steps, but just doing it in a more timely manner is just critical. And now that AI has entered the scene, everybody's a little worried about AI taking the power from consumers, and that's what needs to happen so that the lower utility rates, energy dominance.
So, Senator, one final question before we let you go. I know you have a busy day, but when you're talking about this permitting reform, and Steve mentioned to me off air that there was a project that took more than 20 years, right? And I know nuclear specifically is, 50 years maybe.
Yeah.
What are you hopeful to see in what time frame? Like, are we going to go from 20 to 5 years?
Yeah. So nuclear, by its nature, is going to take a little bit longer, but there are lots of things that we can speed up on nuclear, and everybody's keen in doing that. Right now, PacifiCorp is working on a project, and I think 5 years or less is reasonable on nuclear. But on our other projects, we really need to be talking months instead of years.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us, Senator.
Let's do it again.
Okay, we will. Thank you. When we come back, we're going to talk about airport delays. Stay with us.
Emergency traffic brought to you by Mountain America. We still have stop-and-go traffic northbound I-15 in Utah County with a secondary crash right near US 6. All lanes of travel were stopped for a few minutes to get everybody moved over to the right, but that has traffic backed up to about 8,000 south in Spanish Fork, and then more delays once you pass that crash at US 6 due to another crash at 1400 north in Springville, still over on the right shoulder, and a crash southbound 15 in Lehigh has stop-and-go traffic from the point of the mountain down to Timpanogos Highway as 2 right lanes of the freeway were blocked for a while. Wasatch Front businesses and property managers, GoPave Utah provides all asphalt repairs for your parking. For patching and paving along the Wasatch Front, contact GoPave Utah. GoPaveUtah.com. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
This holiday season, give the gift of love that lasts a lifetime with Duke's Jewelers. For over 75 years, the Dukes family has been part of Utah Valley's story, helping yours celebrate life's most cherished moments since 1948. Dukes is more than a jewelry store. They're craftsmen, creating timeless pieces and custom designs that capture the magic of the holidays. Whether it's a sparkling necklace, a custom ring, or restoring a family heirloom, Duke's Jewelers pours their heart into every gift. Because jewelry isn't just about sparkle, it's about love and legacy. This Christmas, make your loved one feel like part of the Dukes family. Find the perfect gift at Duke's Jewelers, located at 220 South Main in Springville, or shop online at dukesjewelers.com. Duke's Jewelers, celebrating love and tradition since 1948.
At Intermountain Health, we believe life is a circle. May yours surround you with insight, a healthy perspective, trust, and reassurance. The belief that our differences aren't that different, and compassion just when you need it most. Life is a circle. May yours help you live the healthiest life possible. Intermountain Health.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Cunahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions and bring you a special Black Friday offer.
Hey, everybody, Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I
I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have leaf filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install a Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/radio to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
That's leaffilter.com/radio. And now, as a special Black Friday offer, you can get a free gutter inspection, plus up to 35% off. This is our best offer of the season. Unlock it now at leaffilter.com/radio. See representative for warranty details.
All the talks we've had over the years, including what you've told me about not using alcohol and other drugs, they stick with me. And believe it or not, they really do make a difference, especially at times that matter most.
Hey, want a drink?
No thanks, I'm good. So thank you, Dad, for talking and preparing me for what's ahead.
Thank you for talking.
For more information about talking with your kids about underage use of alcohol and other drugs, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
Inside Sources.
So the government shutdown may be seeing its end this week, but air travel is really snarled. So according to the Associated Press, U.S. Airlines canceled more than 2,700 flights yesterday and saw delays in 10,000 more, which really sounds miserable to me. But we have with us on the line travel expert Katie Nostra from Going.com to tell us what we need to know about travel. Katie, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
Look, I think those numbers, they're just shocking to me, right? 10,000 delays and 2,700 cancellations. What are you advising people do right now?
Yeah, look, I mean, these numbers are really unprecedented. And just for some additional context, yesterday, November 9th, was the fourth worst day in cancellation history in the past 2 years. So this is really at the rock bottom of how travel can be impacted due to the effects of the government shutdown. So we want people to be aware that even with a deal done this week, we're likely still going to feel the impacts into next week. Now, hopefully, fingers crossed, we won't see as big of impacts during the week of Thanksgiving. And there is hope that, the worst of it is sort of behind us, but it definitely will be throughout this week that we're still going to see delays. And the reduction in flights has not been lifted, even if a deal is done. That will slowly start to go in the other direction, where flights will be added back to the schedule. So I want people to be hyper aware. Obviously, a lot of us are in the know. We're connected with our airlines apps, but also to be taking advantage of the waivers that airlines are releasing. Basically, this is like a golden ticket scenario where you can make changes to your itinerary without the added cost that might be associated with it when you're typically in the most restrictive fare type. So if you bought a basic economy ticket, for example, on the major carriers like American, Delta, United, Southwest, they're allowing you to change to a different flight preemptively without any fare difference or change fees, which typically when you have basic economy fare, you're not able to do anything. You're sort of out that money that you paid for the ticket. You have to purchase a new ticket to begin with. So, at the very bare minimum, we want travelers to take advantage of those, as well as just being informed that likely airlines are going to give you at least 24 hours in notification if your flight is impacted. And we're really seeing the most impacts on those sort of less than 3-hour flights, commuter flights being outrightly canceled. But every flight out there is left up to the mercy of delays due to we still have long TSA lines, and we still have the impacts of air traffic control understaffing. So we want people to be aware that regardless of whatever flight you're flying on, you're going to likely be impacted in some way.
Katie, I was in and out of Washington, D.C. last Tuesday and Wednesday in Salt Lake City. That was fine. We didn't know anything about this was happening. But I'll tell you what, I was sure appreciative of the TSA workers, and I made sure to tell them who were working without pay, thank you for being here. This is so critical and so important. But then my wife, whose name is also Holly, traveled on Saturday to Denver. And we were on pins and needles because she needed to get there to help our little family over there, our daughter, and with some things. And we were on pins and needles, and her flight was not canceled. But I'll tell you what, the airport was just crazy time. Salt Lake International is crazy.
I'm sure.
Time. Yeah.
Yeah, and that what she had experienced is likely going to continue for the next few days.
So can I ask you, Katie, were the reductions that started on Friday, have they hit that 10% yet, or are we still going to see increasing reductions as we are still shut down?
Technically, we're still shut down. So the mandate should be that tomorrow on Tuesday, November 11th, we should get into roughly 6% of flights being reduced or canceled outrightly. But if you notice, well over the weekend, that 10%, there were not only airlines, but airports, specifically, Atlanta, O'Hare, Dallas, Charlotte, well above that 10% of cancellation rates, or just impacted flights. So, even though there's a 6% mandate there, we still are dealing with weather. We're still dealing with mechanical issues. There's still the risk of all of those things that can impact your flight on any other given day. So it is likely that, we're going to continue to see these numbers inch upwards until we really have some plan in place.
So you mentioned that things will slowly get back to normal. Are you, from your perspective as an expert, are you seeing that once the shutdown comes to its conclusion, that air traffic controllers will stop calling out sick? Is that going to change right away, or is that going to be a slow process?
Yeah, great question. I think that's what's on everyone's mind, but it's not like you can just flip a switch, like, putting a generator back on when you lose your lights. This is really going to take some time to work itself out, and we can only hope that air traffic controllers come back to work and we see reductions in sick outs. But it is, again, this is likely going to affect travel into next week, even if there's a deal done. This is not just going to magically disappear.
Well, I'll tell you what, I would be hesitant if I had to travel next week, really hesitant, because I think these air traffic controllers not on the job, that's not a good thing in terms of the safety aspects of this. So I would hope that people would be able to delay their flights if they can till this gets sorted out.
Yeah. I mean, some of us have to travel. And, I think one tip I would love to impart on anyone, if you're changing your flight, try to change it to a morning flight. We see higher on-time arrival rates regardless of the issues with morning flights versus later evening and afternoon flights. And, weather gets worse in the afternoon. Pileups in terms of delays can really be impacted and grow in the afternoon. So we just, there's no magic bullet to be able to give yourself the best odds, but you will have better odds if you try to get out first thing, that 6, 7 a.m. flight, if you can. I know people don't like waking up that early, but in this scenario, with reduced schedules, you want to also give yourself the buffer. If that flight in the morning gets delayed or outrightly canceled for some reason, then you have options for the afternoon. Whereas if you have a later afternoon or evening flight, you likely don't have too many options after that. So, if you can, try to book that morning flight. And, we are seeing a lot of people taking refunds and opting to drive if they can. But then on the flip side, rental cars are now becoming a little scarce and premiums are quite high. So it is really a mess out there.
So one final question for you, Katie, and we're speaking with Katie Nastra from Going.com. You mentioned to make sure that travelers check their airline app so that they can be notified and on the list to let people know if they're delayed or canceled. But I also wonder if they already have a flight booked and maybe there's a connecting flight and they end up delayed and they're stuck in an airport, can they expect some kind of hotel voucher, or what can they expect if they end up stuck in a connecting city without their final destination?
Unfortunately, this is considered outside of the airline's control, and this is really where travelers don't have as many rights in terms of being guaranteed something from the airline. It's really up to the airline if a traveler is stuck. You could only hope in good faith that they're able to provide something. But what we would suggest is, look at your credit card. A lot of credit cards, especially travel credit cards these days, have built-in travel protections and will comp you or refund you for these outside unnecessary expenses due to travel or trip disruptions.
Thank you so much for joining us, Katie. That was super helpful. All right, Steve, you were in D.C. last week. You mentioned that at the top of the hour, and it was an experience.
It was an experience, yeah.
Escalators not running, 45 minutes to be able to find an exit from a building. We're going to talk about that when we come back after this break.
9:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour, an apartment complex under construction in Lehigh has been reduced to ash after a massive fire broke out at the site yesterday.
Right in the middle, huge flames. We could feel the heat just standing right here, and then we just watched it spread, and firefighters started rolling in.
Brianna Larson tells KSL TV she lives right above the complex. Now, she and others want to know how the fire started. Firefighters say it'll likely take several days to sift through the rubble and figure that out. Larson says she knows the owner and feels bad knowing this affects their livelihood. Utah ranks the lowest in rates of lung cancer and smoking across the country, according to a new report by the American Lung Association. Tobacco Prevention and Control Assistant Program Manager Stephanie Bever says it shows the direct connection of preventing tobacco use and reducing cancer.
It really isn't a coincidence. Looking at this report, it does really illustrate that direct and proven link between preventing and reducing tobacco use and saving lives from cancer.
Bever says while the state leads the nation, there is still more work to be done to keep Utahns healthy. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. Officials say the president has now issued a sweeping pardon to any citizens involved in what the Trump administration says was a plan to, quote, expose voting fraud during the 2020 election. ABC News Chief Washington Correspondent Jonathan Karl.
Two of them, interestingly enough, Jenna Ellis and Kenneth Cheeseborough, had actually pled guilty to the charges and were cooperating in some of those state cases against the people that were charged at the state level.
The pardon attorney, Ed Martin had earlier said this year in a post on X, "No MAGA left behind." Your money at this moment, the Dow is up, but actually now down a fraction. It's down 10 points to 46,976. Coming up, the traffic's starting to clear, but we've got some cooler temperatures. We'll check traffic and weather together next. KSL News Time, 9:32.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
Hey, this is Dan, the laptop man from PC Laptops. Let me tell you an amazing story. Last week, a customer came in. They were a creative director for an agency, and they were frustrated that their old, slow computer wasn't processing their files quick enough. He had a big project due and could not afford any delays. Well, we hooked him up with one of our new, powerful 2025 desktops for only $999, and he was able to complete his project with ease. Take one home today. The new 2025 S1 desktop or SM3 laptop for only $999. You heard that right, $999. You get a blazing fast processor, 16 gigs of RAM, and over a terabyte of blazing storage for $999. What else you get? Lifetime service warranty, and we have 12 months special financing on approved credit. Hurry in right now because supplies are limited, because at PC Laptops, we love you. Just check us out at PCLaptops.com. $999, PCLaptops.com.
You've got your whole life ahead of you, so choose a Medicare plan you can count on. And that's what you get with a Medicare Advantage plan from United Healthcare. With more than 45 years' experience serving its members, United Healthcare has plans with low monthly premiums that fit your life today and as your needs change tomorrow. The Medicare annual enrollment period ends December 7th, so go to uhc.com/Medicare today. United Healthcare Medicare plans. It's Medicare coverage Utah can count on.
Attention Jazz Nation. The long wait is finally over. Mountain basketball is back and better than ever. Let's go! All tickets are on sale now, and you won't want to miss the action. Jump on the opportunity to watch your favorite players live and in person. Whether you're after season tickets, mini plans, or single game matchups, the Utah Jazz has got your back. There's a plan for every fan. Don't miss out. Secure your seats today and be part of the excitement all season long. Let's go! Visit UtahJazz.com today.
Hi, this is Derek Overstreet, president of the New Millennium Group and co-host of Stop Working, Start Living with KSL News Radio. Can you imagine what your life would be like if you could retire 3 to 5 years earlier than you thought possible? The things you could do, the loved ones you could spend time with, the memories that you could create. That's what our team at the New Millennium Group does. We'll walk you through the entire process every step of the way. If you'd like to get a copy of the 5-step proprietary plan that will help you retire 3 to 5 years sooner than you thought possible, give us a shout right now. 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370 or utahsfinancialplanner.com. Listen, most of our listeners right now have a tax problem, not a money problem. There's not enough money in Social Security Medicare as it is. Let us show you how you can significantly reduce your taxes. That's 888-999-6370, 888-999-6370, or utahsfinancialplanner.com.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Mountain America's Visa Triple Rewards. And here's Heather Kelly.
Well, we still have traffic at a crawl right now, northbound I-15 through Springville. It starts about 400 south in Springville up to the 1400 north exit. This is all due to a crash still over on the right shoulder. Been there for well over 2 hours now. But at least the length of delay is only about 1.5 miles now of that crawl. And then we do have a couple of crashes southbound I-15 in Lehigh. They're both right near the Timpanogos Highway exit. At one point, they were blocking a couple of right lanes of the freeway. Now everybody's moved over to the right shoulder. So just a little bit of slowing as people drive past that crash coming out of Salt Lake County into Utah County. And no real issues now getting out of Weber and Davis counties. From system install to fast fixes to deliver award-winning heating, cooling, plumbing, and electrical. Call Whipple Service Champions for the win today. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather today looking at partly cloudy with highs in the lower 60s. Tomorrow, a couple of degrees warmer. No chance of rain, it looks like, until probably Friday. Right now, it's mostly cloudy, though, and 46 degrees in Salt Lake City. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
So it's Holly Richardson, and today I'm joined by Steve Handy. He was in the Utah legislature. He was there when I was there,
yes.
So that was very fun.
Yeah, very fun.
And now he consults on energy issues and some other things, and he was just in D.C. last week and saw the shutdown in full swing. So just tell us about that. What was it like?
Well, I've been to Capitol Hill a bunch of times. I've been to Washington a bunch of times, and I didn't really quite know what to expect once we got to Capitol Hill. I didn't see anything else in Washington, D.C. It was a quick in and out trip, but I know that all of the Smithsonian museums are closed. And here's an interesting thing, Holly. When I took my lift in from the airport, from Reagan, I said, "How are things?" to the Lyft driver, and he says, "I've been taking more people to the airport than I'm bringing from the airport." And I said, "What's going on?" And he said, "These are young staffers, congressional staffers who can't afford to, they're not being paid, so they can't pay their rent, so they're getting out of town."
Oh my goodness.
And he said, obviously the restaurants are hurting, the hotels are hurting. Yeah. And so when we started our lobby work, and it was citizen lobbying, the huge, fences all around the Capitol that I'd never seen before, and it wasn't security. I think it was just, not enough staff to keep people directed or where they needed to go, and it was incredibly inconvenient. There's a lot of walking back there, as you know.
Yes.
But it was a lot more walking to get around to where we needed to go. And I told you earlier in the pre-production meeting, we were in the Rayburn building.
Yeah.
And then had to go over to Longworth. And there's all these tunnels that connect the buildings, and you don't know your way around, so you're asking all the time. But even the escalators were down, and like, what is that about? What is that about? But so many of the entrances, Holly, were closed and shut down, and so you weren't really sure how to get out.
Oh my goodness!
It took us 45 minutes to go from Rayburn to Longworth. We'd been in there for several hours, and these traditional
exit points.
Exit points were shut down. It was crazy time.
Wow, taking 45 minutes to find your way out. I probably would have been turned around and lost. I just would have been. I just had to sit down and cry.
And we'd been there before, and we thought we knew where we were going. And you're trying to read the signs and anything. Anyway.
So what was the general mood? Did you still see a lot of people there, or was it kind of a ghost town?
It was kind of a ghost town. There were not the numbers that I've usually seen. There were the congressional offices all had staffers there. We went to a congressman from Arizona that we had an appointment with, that my colleague knew and had an appointment with. He was actually in Arizona, so we were sitting there in Washington, D.C., outside of his office in a Zoom call with him.
Oh, goodness.
Oh, goodness. Yeah, really.
Wow. So, if you were there any visitors? I guess I should ask that. Were there any visitors there? Probably not if everything is shut down.
Well, when we went to see Senator Curtis, it was a tight schedule, and there was a revolving door. It was kind of a 15-minute appointment with him, talking about transmission permitting reform and some other things. And but there were people coming and going, and they were certainly busy. We saw Congressman Blake Moore, 1st District Congressman, and he got caught in a motorcade, so he couldn't get to the office. Met with his staff, and that was okay. But they were busy. They shoehorned us in, and so they were busy seeing constituents.
Interesting. So I'm wondering if the congressional staffers, if you're a Lyft driver who is saying they're leaving town, and yet they're the ones that are still running the offices and things. So
exactly.
What were you seeing with staffers there? Did it seem to be the normal level of these young staffers?
No, it didn't. There were noticeably fewer staffers, and you could even tell that in the cafeteria I think it was in Rayburn, and they had just opened it up the previous few days. It had been closed down, the cafeteria.
Yeah.
And I've been there before, and it was noticeably not a lot of people.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people there. But you asked the question about the staffers, and I remember knocking on one of the doors. I think it was the Arizona congressman that we had the Zoom when he was back in Arizona. But and the staffer said, no, we're closed, we're shut down. And then the offices we were in, except for Senator Curtis's office, there were noticeably fewer young staffers.
Yeah, interesting.
Noticeably.
Interesting. So I'm going to pivot just a little bit and ask you about Utah politics. So one of the things that's interesting to me is that we have changed in Utah when you file for office in the even years. And so what is going to happen is that people will have to file for congressional offices, which is actually why today is the deadline to get these new redistricting maps.
Exactly.
They have to file for the state house, and they'll have to file for about half of the Senate seats in January before the legislative session starts.
Exactly.
And it used to be after.
Right.
So the only person in Utah that I know of that has announced that she's not running again is Representative Carrie Ann Lisenby. And that gives people some lead up time to say, okay, I'm going to file or not file for what is now going to be an open seat. How have you seen, does it change the nature of how the legislative session goes? Does it change the nature of maybe how people respond, or are they all going to wait until 4:45 p.m. on the last day of filing again?
Well, I always thought that, in my time in the legislature, I mean, it was traditionally, as you said, Holly, it was always, open filing was the day after the legislature adjourned.
Yeah.
And so you'd adjourn on a Thursday night, and you'd go file if you were going to run for re-election every 2 years in the House, where you and I were. You'd file on that Friday. And then it was moved to, and I think it was in my last session in 2022, that we filed during the session we filed. And we went down and filed, and now they've moved it even to earlier than that. And I think it does affect the legislators who are, kind of more aware of what could happen and trying to see if some of them know they have a challenger and some of them know they don't. But sometimes it can happen up to that deadline, and that deadline for filing was, it was the last day of the session, the deadline for filing, and it was kind of crazy time.
I want to ask you this question, and we only have a few seconds left, but I'm wondering what might happen, and this is just theoretical, but what might happen if the members of the public are making an assumption that somebody is going to run again, and you get down to the end of the filing deadline, and it passes, and then that person says, I didn't file either because I'm not going to run again. Do you think that could happen?
Oh, I am sure that can happen, and I'm sure that probably, I think it will happen in some instances. You know, you have the 75 House members that are all up for re-election next year, like say 1/3 or 1/2 of the 29 senators. And I think you will see it. There's a lot of movement that we don't know about, but a lot of conversations going on right now about what's happening, as you know. So stay tuned.
Yeah, we will for sure. Okay, speaking of staying tuned, we were tuned in to the mayoral race in Provo, which saw two-term Mayor Michelle Kaufusi beaten by challenger Marsha Judkins in a very close race. And we're going to talk with the presumptive mayor-elect when we come back.
Alpine Home Medical, we bring wellness home.
Hey folks, it's Jay Broadbent here with Alpine Home Medical, celebrating 28 years of keeping Utah and Idaho comfortable and at home. Back in '97, I started with a truck, a dream, and a lot more hair. Today, we've got 11 stores from Idaho Falls to St. George. From the moment you step into our clean, welcoming showrooms, you'll feel the Alpine difference. Our team will be there to listen and guide you to the best solutions for your needs. We believe that the right equipment can transform lives. We're honored to be a part of your healthcare journey and to help you live the life you deserve. Visit us online at alpinehomemedical.com. That's alpinehomemedical.com.
You trust us for news and information in your car. Now trust us at home. KSL News Radio has you covered, keeping you informed on the latest breaking news, weather, traffic, sports, and more. Listen on your Amazon Echo or Google Home device. Just say, Alexa, open KSL News Radio. Or listen on the KSL News Radio Listen app. Text the word app to 57500. KSL News Radio. We have you covered.
Workdays can be unpredictable, but your workwear shouldn't be. With the Cintas Apparel Plus program, you'll have freshly laundered garments for everyone on your team delivered every week. Cintas has workwear for just about any job imaginable, with high-performance fabrics and an uncompromising fit that stretches and moves with you. Don't leave looking and feeling good to chance. Visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
At Bank of America, we're proud that more than 20,000 veterans and people with military backgrounds have joined our ranks since 2015. Now we're committed to adding 10,000 more over the next 5 years. By helping veterans achieve their career goals, we're moving from appreciation to action, and together, helping expand economic opportunity across America. Visit bankofamerica.com/greatplacetowork. What would you like the power to do? Bank of America. Proud to be an equal opportunity employer.
When it comes to your electrical system, do you know the warning signs to look for? What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and it's okay if you don't know, but here are a few things that you might not even realize could be a sign of a bigger problem. Wall plates that are hot to the touch, discoloration around switches or outlets, if you hear crackling or popping or buzzing around switches or outlets, a breaker that trips a lot, switches that feel loose when you operate them, if your lights dim or flicker when a major appliance comes on, if your plugs fall out of the wall easily. You know, you're not supposed to have to bend the prongs out on a plug just to get it to stay in the wall. If you notice any of these things, you should consider having a licensed electrician check your system out. If you don't know anyone, Any Hour Services has put together a radio-only special for any homeowners listening. One of our licensed electricians will perform a comprehensive electrical inspection and give you a full written report for only $29. But you have to mention this ad when you call. To schedule your comprehensive electrical inspection by a licensed electrician for only $29, call Any Hour Services at 801-443-7300. That's 801-443-7300. Any Hour Services.
Fresh off its UK tour. Over 200 sold-out performances. The Covey invites you to step back in time to see the true story of the boy band that changed music forever. See The Osmonds, a new musical, in its exclusive North American premiere. A national national theatrical event that starts right here in Provo in March 2026. Go behind the scenes and see the Osmonds as they rise to fame with hits like Yo-Yo, Crazy Horses, and Puppy Love, and see the mistake that brought it all crashing to the ground. A tale of redemption, family, and sacrifice, as told by Jay Osmond himself. The North American premiere of The Osmonds, a new musical, coming to the Covey in March 2026. Presented in cooperation with the Utah Office of Tourism. Get tickets at coveycenter.org.
Mr. Max, suiting for every important chapter of your life. Weddings, proms, new job, any celebration, mission callings, and more. Mr. Max there to suit your needs with 9 locations or MrMac.com.
And expanded Inside Sources.
Before the show today, we spoke with presumptive mayor-elect Marcia Judkins down in Provo, and while the election results won't be officially final until next Tuesday, based on the ballot count, she's ahead by 400 votes. There's not enough outstanding votes to overturn that, we don't think. So we had an opportunity to speak with her, both Steve and I, about last week's election and her plans going forward. Follow-up questions. So tell us about the election.
Yeah, so actually it seemed really, really long, you know. I've been campaigning with my team of volunteers for months and months and months, and but it was all just worth it, I guess. And I'm really excited. I'm really excited to get started.
Were you focused on the west side mostly, or how did that play out?
No, that's a really good question. So because I represented the West Side as a state legislator, my name was fairly well known down here. And so I really had to make a lot of efforts in the East Side, right, in the North and Southeast, so that people would know who I was and be familiar with, you know, like all the things that I've done. And so I tried not to ignore my friends down here on the West Side, but it was really an effort to try to get name recognition on the East Side.
Well, you had to be strategic, of course, and you understand that as a seasoned campaigner. You know, you and I served together in the Utah House, and we're good colleagues and good friends. And I'm just wondering what compelled you to run for mayor, to challenge a sitting established mayor.
That's such a good question. From my position in the state legislature and working with my constituents and trying to do the best for my district, I pushed up against the city a few times on certain issues, and I just was not seeing. I wasn't seeing what a lot of representation down here on the West Side, and trying to get some things moving or changed or going. And so I decided, well, I can't just complain about it. And I love Provo, and I saw things throughout Provo that I thought we need some fresh ideas and some changes. And so I thought, well, I can't complain. So I did.
I have a question for you about what happens between when the results are finalized next week and when you're sworn in January. So it's less than 2 months. What's your transition plan?
Wow. So that is also a good question. There's a lot that has to happen. And I'm starting this week I'm meeting with the Chief Administrative Officer. We're going to talk about transitioning, and I'm getting a transition team together. I want to start meeting with department heads. There has been, it's always scary when there's a change in leadership like this. And I know that there have been rumors flying around about I'm going to go through and fire a bunch of people and things like that. I just want to settle some hearts. I want to meet with people, find out what's going on, and kind of communicate my vision and show that I want to work with people, right? And so that I might not sound like a lot, but it feels like a lot right now, trying to get everything together, and so that it can be a really smooth transition beginning in January.
Marcia, what is Provo's population, and how many employees do you have? How many FTEs in Provo?
Wow. Okay, so we have about 116,000 residents of Provo, and You asked a really good question. I don't know how many FTEs are. That's one of the things I'm going to hopefully be learning here coming up, right? Yes.
And I don't know, because I live in north of Salt Lake, as you know. But were there changes in the council in the election as well? Do you have new council members?
So we have one new council member, and that represents the east, kind of south and some northeast area, and then the rest have all been there. They're all sitting. Yeah.
So, what are your priorities as you take office in January?
That's fun for me. So I have quite a few priorities, but some of the things, that's one of the things I'm doing is I'm creating a 100-day plan, a 1-year plan, and then a long-term plan. And some of the things I really want to see changing when I come in, we have a lot of bureaucracy and red tape around getting a business license. We're kind of known as being business unfriendly. I want to turn that around. Same with building permits. I want to make government work for the people. I know that sounds really trite, but local government should really make life easier for residents, and I want to see how can we do that. And one of those ways is supporting and encouraging, our local entrepreneurs to have businesses here. I want to launch a transparency portal to make so that residents can really easily find historic votes or what's going on in the city, how money is being spent, just all of those things. So to become really transparent is a big deal for me. I want to work with each department to make a strategic plan so we're all working towards the same goal and continuously improving, have success metrics, priorities, things like that. One of the things that's really important to me, too, is bringing our community together, have a more unified feel. We used to have something called the Rooftop Concert Series, which was just a great community builder, and I want to bring that back. I want to have a lot of community events like food truck nights and maybe open-air concerts down at our new Epic Sports Park. And we have so much talent here, and I just want to take advantage of the arts and, use that to bring our community together. And I want to look at our transportation and city master plans and go through and make sure that they're updated to reflect where we are now and, how we want to look going into the future. We've got open space that needs to be protected. Anyway, I could go on and on, but there's just some things.
Hey, here's a last question for you, maybe Madam Mayor-elect Judkins, and that is, former legislator, everyone, all the talk is about affordable housing. There is talk about the legislature imposing zoning on municipalities, on cities to increase density. That's really what it's about. So how do you feel about that?
How do I feel about that? So having been in the legislature and now down in local government, I think that the best governance comes locally. We could talk about this for hours, Steve, as you know. So I'll try to be really quick and brief. I want to be a part of that conversation with the legislature and make sure that it fits with what Provo's plan is moving forward. And I know that that there is going to be growth. I think we can do that gently and with purpose and with vision. And so I just want to be a part of those conversations with the legislature.
Thank you so much for joining us today. And
all the best to you.
Yeah, we're excited to follow
all the best.
your tenure.
Thank you so much. It was my pleasure. Thank you both. Have a great day.
Thank you. You too. So that was presumptive Mayor-elect Marcia Judkins talking to us about some of her hopes and plans for Provo. So you've served in a city council before, is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. I had 2 terms in Layton. I had 8 years in Layton in the city council before I went into the legislature. Yes, so I have a good handle on local government. And you and I were talking earlier. I mean, the difference between strong mayor and weak mayor forms, which we can have in Utah, and Mayor-elect Judkins. Provo is a strong mayor city, so she's full time.
So can you just briefly explain that difference?
Yes. In Layton, what we had was the weak mayor, so the mayor, plenty to do, council members part-time, but also a city manager, really a professional individual, a city manager, really is the chief executive. And the city manager serves at the pleasure of the city council. And so that seemed to work really well. And so I can understand why in Salt Lake City, our capital city here, that we have strong mayor. I understand that, but Ogden strong mayor, Provo strong mayor. I don't know some of the others that are, but I think in my perspective, and I'm pretty close to the folks in Ogden, they do a great job. But I think in strong mayor, Holly, that it's really a disservice to taxpayers. I think the taxpayers are they're double expenses because the council has there, for example, if Greg was here, he could say this, but their own legal counsel, their own staff. Where what we had in Layton, a city of 80,000, it was all the same. So we were trying to keep the costs down for taxpayers.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. When we come back, we're going to talk about redistricting in Utah because Judge Gibson has to issue her decision today. We'll be back after the break.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
10 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour. The Senate reached a deal last night that provides a path to end the government shutdown. And this morning, House Speaker Mike Johnson says he's recalling all House members back to Congress so they can get a bill on the president's desk as soon as it clears the Senate.
It's after 40 days of wandering in the wilderness and making the American people suffer needlessly, some Senate Democrats finally have stepped forward to end the pain.
It could take several days for the process to play out and the government shutdown to officially end. The government shutdown is continuing to take a big toll on air travel, and officials are warning it could get even worse if the shutdown doesn't end soon.
This morning, there have already been thousands of canceled and delayed flights around the U.S., according to FlightAware, including more than 70 combined delays and cancellations just at Salt Lake City International. This comes as Salt Lake City and dozens of the nation's busiest airports work to cut flights by 10%. U.S. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy tells ABC News if the shutdown ends, we could start to see that trend go back the other way.
If we continue with the same controller force, the same numbers keep coming in, we think we can reduce delays and reduce cancellations, which is a positive.
However, Duffy says if the shutdown does not end soon, we could see that 10% cut in flights turn into 20%. At the Salt Lake City International Airport, Adam Small, KSL News Radio.
Your money at this moment, the Dow is zigging and zagging above and below the number it closed at last night. Right now, it's up 68 points to 47,054. Coming up, nice for a few days before a storm blows in. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 10:01.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Is your financial advisor offering you up to a 30% upfront bonus? Or are they promising you up to 10% growth per year, all for your retirement income? If not, then you need to come to Trajan Wealth. I'm Jeff Jr., founder of Trajan Wealth. If you have a plan to retire within the next 10 years, don't wait only to find out it's too late. I've seen hardworking folks like you retire only to be required to go back to work, all because their advisor told them guarantees like these were too good to be true. They're not. That's up to $30,000 upfront or up to $10,000 per year on $100,000, all guaranteed for retirement income. Don't keep working when you're supposed to be retired, and don't let any financial advisor tell you it's too good to be true. Call Trajan today, 801-207-9900. That's 801-207-9900.
Annuities, non-advisory products. DBA Trajan Wealth Insurance Solutions. Additional disclosures at trajanwealth.com.
I'm back to doing what I love and more. Thanks to the Good Feet store.
Do you want to walk, play pickleball, and enjoy other fun activities to stay healthy, but you can't because of bad feet? Hi, this is Mike, and the Good Feet store wants to help.
I just had difficulty walking. I tried them on in the store, and my foot felt so much better.
Do you keep buying new shoes and inserts with little or no relief?
I tried all kinds of shoes. It was the arch supports that made the difference from the Good Feet store.
Don't let bad feet, knees, or back problems get in the way of staying healthy and having fun.
Thanks to the Good Feet store, I'm bowling 3 nights a week.
Get back to doing what you love. At the Good Feet store, we'll personally fit you at high-quality arch supports to maximize your comfort. Stop in the Good Feet store or book your free fitting at goodfeet.com. We have locations in Farmington, Riverton, and Sandy.
Thanks to the Good Feet store.
Workdays can be unpredictable, but your workwear shouldn't be. With the Cintas Apparel Plus program, you'll have freshly laundered garments for everyone on your team delivered every week. Cintas has workwear for just about any job imaginable, with high-performance fabrics and an uncompromising fit that stretches and moves with you. Don't leave looking and feeling good to chance. Visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
Your ambition just met its match with Robinhood. Trade stocks and ETFs, options, futures, and crypto all on one platform. Get started today at Robinhood.com/yourmoney. Your money, your move. All investments involve risk, including loss of principal. Options, futures, and crypto trading carry significant risk and may not suit all investors. Securities offered through Robinhood Financial LLC, member SIPC. Futures trading is offered by Robinhood Derivatives LLC, not FDIC or SIPC protected. Crypto offered through Robinhood Crypto LLC, NMLS ID 1702840, not FDIC or SIPC protected. Portfolio management offered by Robinhood Strategies, an SEC registered advisor.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America's Visa Triple Rewards. And here's Heather Kelly.
Well, crews are still trying to clean up this crash from several hours ago. It's northbound I-15 at 1400 North in Springville. A crane has been brought in to help lift this vehicle that went way off the side of the road. So people are still taking a look at it as they go by, and that's made for a very slow commute coming up from about 400 south in Springville. But that's really the only delay that I can see across the Wasatch Front right now. We have had some other minor fender benders, but they're all pulled over to shoulders and not slowing anybody down right now. Attention Wasatch Front businesses and property managers, don't wait for bad weather to schedule professional snow service with GoPave Utah. Your complete parking lot safety starts with GoPaveUtah.com. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather, we should see a high of 61 degrees today. Then in the mid to upper 60s through Thursday before a cold front moves in Thursday night, bringing rain and possibly even snow on Friday. Right now it's 48 degrees and mostly cloudy in Salt Lake City. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at KSLNewsRadio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
I am Holly Richardson, and I'm joined in studio today by Steve Handy, former legislator. Mm-hmm. And we want to actually talk about redistricting, and you were there for 2 redistricting cycles.
Yes.
So let's just set it up. Remind our listeners again why this still is an issue. So in 2018, voters passed basically a voters' referendum to get Proposition 4 as part of the Utah Constitution, which basically set up an independent redistricting committee, and it also set parameters for what redistricting should look like, what the maps needed to take into account. And they even noted in that Proposition 4 that if the legislature were to reject the maps that this independent redistricting commission proposed, they could create their own maps, but it would still have to fall in those parameters. And one of those things was to ignore basically partisan distribution and to try to keep communities whole as much as possible. So the legislature didn't do that. And there were plaintiffs who sued, and it has taken a while to work its way through the system. And then earlier this year, like in the summer, August maybe, we finally had a decision come down from Judge Gibson, and she said, you are correct, the plaintiffs were correct, these maps need to be redrawn. And November 10th is the absolute last possible day for her to issue her decision, and that's today. So that's why we're talking about this. I don't see a decision yet from the judge, but at some point today we will know that. So they've gone back and forth with attorneys and plaintiffs, and the Utah legislature did adopt a map, and then they had to go in front of the judge. So last week, both attorneys for the legislature and the plaintiffs presented their final arguments in front of her, and now she had the opportunity to sort through 1,000 pages of evidence and 15 hours of testimony, and then she'll issue a decision today.
Right. It is very complicated. And I just want to say, as a all the time listener of KSL, appreciate KSL keeping this in front of the people, trying to educate and inform. It is very complicated. Maybe just a little perspective, Holly. So 2018, as you said, was the Better Boundaries referendum passed. We got into session in 2019, and negotiations were going on because we knew in 2020 you're going to have the census, and then you're going to start redistricting in 2021. And we got into there, and basically the negotiation was, I mean, the bill was basically gutted by the legislature in that they were appropriated $1 million that they could hire staff and travel around the state and hold public hearings. But the legislation said that the legislature may consider their maps, which the legislature never did. But the whole crux of the matter here is, I think, that you boil it down to legislation, to boil it down, is who is responsible. I mean, the Constitution is a little bit conflicted in my reading of it and what I've heard. I've heard Greg talk about it, a little bit conflicted, but clearly redistricting is the purview of the legislature, and I'm comfortable with that. I think that's the way it should be. But there's all of these other things, because when we got into redistricting in 2021 and sent around the state, and we pied, the infamous pie for districts, pieing into Salt Lake, which I never, frankly, ever agreed with. And I remember going to leadership, and I said, you know what, I don't know, I think this is going to be a problem. Can't we just make one of these districts a little bit more competitive? I mean, I'm a Republican. Can't we just make one of these districts a little more competitive? No, we can't. So now here we are, and you mentioned that, Holly. It's taken a long time to work its way through the lawsuits and the courts saying, no, legislature, you failed. You didn't listen to the people. So that's the conflict here. And the thing I'm hearing, I mean, could eventually get sorted out in front of the U.S. Supreme Court.
That would be interesting, right? So we know that there's ongoing efforts also to overturn Proposition 4. There's a group of people that are trying to gather signatures and now do a direct referendum, so it would be on the ballot in 2026. But for the 2026 election, it seems clear to me that we're going to have new congressional maps.
It seems clear to me too.
Okay. And it's a not well-kept secret that Ben McAdams is probably going to run. I don't know which district he'll end up running in, but that he's probably going to run again.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering what it might look like in 2028. Do you have any thoughts on that?
No, I don't have any thoughts on 2028. But if I'm Blake Moore, Representative Malloy, Kennedy, and Burgess Owens. I am just on pins and needles in my campaign staff and my professional staff. Like, what is happening here?
Right.
It is not good.
The good news, if you're a senator, it's the entire state, right?
Yes,
so
the two senators.
Nothing changes.
Not our problem. But
nothing changes.
The four congressional offices,
Yeah, so 2026 they'll have new lines, I guess. I'm presuming, I don't know this for sure, but I'm assuming that we're going to see the four incumbents going to run again. We're going to have at least one challenger, and that will be Ben McAdams. But I'm also I'm wondering in 2028, for example, if this new referendum passes, then it'll throw out Proposition 4, which I think will void this whole decision, and then we'll go back to the way the lines are drawn right now today.
Yeah, and that could happen. I think that could happen. That is a whiplash. That is, there's people want certainty in our lives, and there's no certainty in politics. We know, we talked earlier in the segment about government shutdown and all this stuff, 40 days and 40 nights.
Yeah.
But it's not a good thing for our constitutional republic to have this kind of yo-yoing going on. I don't know what the solution is, but just going to have to work our way through it.
Yeah, it's interesting. And, I think it's interesting to talk about how different areas get divided too, because there's no way to not divide Salt Lake County, for example, right? It's too big.
There's no way. That's exactly right.
Right.
You're right.
No
way.
And Salt Lake City as a specific city is actually too small for a congressional district, so you can't make a donut hole that only includes Salt Lake City. Mm-hmm. So some things do have to be divided up, and where those 4 points come together, whether it's a pizza slice or some other kind of slice, there are places where there's going to be a split. And one of the maps that was proposed would split my city, which is not that big. It's only 38,000 people, maybe. Pleasant Grove. It would have split Pleasant Grove. That's where it would have met, is split it in like at least 2 congressional districts, right? So that's really, I think, an interesting thing. And what it also says to me is we're in 2026. We'll basically have 2 months-ish before filing opens.
Before filing, right, exactly.
So you're talking about people who potentially have to stand up a congressional campaign in the next couple of months.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
That is a lot to stand that up and staff and raise money and know where you're going, developing your messaging.
Talk about getting signatures.
Talk about getting signatures, correct, Holly? Which they all will.
Yeah.
And it's really, really a lot of chaos.
It is really interesting. All right, so we're going to shift right now to Hakeem Jeffries in a press conference.
About the SNAP situation. Republicans this year, on July 3rd, subsequently signed into law by the current president, enacted the largest cut to Medicaid in American history, ripping away health insurance from at least 14 million Americans, and at the same period of time, cut $186 billion from SNAP. Republicans did that this year. They literally ripped food from the mouths of hungry children, seniors, and veterans so they could reward their billionaire donors with massive tax breaks that they made permanent. That's what Republicans did. They've launched an all-out assault on SNAP. They've weaponized hunger and starvation here in America, taken SNAP benefits away from more than 1 million veterans rather than honoring them tomorrow, which is what should be taking place in the United States of America. Republicans have done that. And so these people can't be trusted on the cost of living issue. These Republican extremists, they can't be trusted on the health care issue, and they certainly cannot be trusted on the SNAP issue.
As you know, this has been the longest shutdown in American history. You've seen chaos at airports, delayed SNAP benefits, people losing their jobs. And yet, the deal that Democrats agreed to has been a deal that's been on the table for a while now. Still no policy outcome on health care. So what did the American people gain from the past 41 days?
Our fight in the House of Representatives will continue to address the Republican health care crisis. We'll continue that fight today, tomorrow, this week, this month, next month, this year, next year. We're going to continue that fight to fix our broken health care system and lower the high cost of living for the American people. And the American people know that we're on the right side of this fight. It's part of the reason why you saw decisive Democratic victories last Tuesday and crushing Republican losses all across America. In Virginia, in New Jersey, in New York, in Pennsylvania, in California, in Mississippi, in Georgia, across the country, up and down the ballot. Because Republican policies have failed the American people. And as Democrats, we're going to continue to fight to make their life better. Thanks.
Throughout the shutdown, you referred to your Senate colleagues as courageous for rejecting the 14 previous attempts to reopen the government without an extension to the Affordable Tax Care credits. Those 8 Senate Democrats who voted to start the process of reopening the government, do you still...
We're listening to a press conference with Hakeem Jeffries talking about the agreement and how many Democrats are not in support.
About those individuals, and they're going to have to explain themselves to their constituents and to the American people. I certainly believe that Senate Democrats, the overwhelming majority of Senate Democrats, led by Chuck Schumer, have waged a valiant fight over the last 7 weeks, defeating the partisan Republican spending bill 14 or 15 different times, week after week after week, and continue to oppose this effort of passing legislation that does not address the Republican health care crisis by extending the Affordable Care Act tax credits. But the fight is getting ready to shift back to the House. where we're going to work hard, hold the Republicans accountable. All of these loudmouths on the House Republican conference side who's been saying for the last several weeks that we have to extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits. Now is their chance. This week, they have to come back from their 7-week prolonged taxpayer-funded Republican vacation. They can no longer hide. They can no longer hide. Mike Johnson apparently still hiding. Refused to even answer a single question today. That's extraordinary. But they're not going to be able to hide this week when they return from their vacation. Thanks.
That was Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries in the House saying the Democrats are opposed to the GOP continuing resolution bill from the Senate.
As the temperature sinks a little lower and the wind blows a little harder, next thing you know, the winter cold is going to be seeping in through your old drafty windows. So now's the time to call Advanced Window Products for custom-crafted, state-of-the-art windows that'll seal up your house and cut your heating bill. Get on their schedule before winter, and not only do you get factory direct pricing far below what the big-name companies charged, but Advanced will knock an extra $2,500 off your quote. They'll create beautiful double-pane windows with insulated frames, any style, any color, and the security features to keep your family safe. You'll get a lifetime warranty from a local company in business here for 39 years. Financing? 60 months, 0%. Or even buy now, pay later. So make the call. Seal up the house for winter with $2,500 off on 10 windows or more. Call for a quote, 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100, or go to advancedwindows.com.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. I don't know if you knew this, but anyone can get the same premium wireless for $15 a month plan that I've been enjoying. It's not just for celebrities, so do like I did and have one of your assistants switch you to Mint Mobile today.
Visit mintmobile.com/radio. Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
Smarter clean in half the time. Brought to you by Swiffer Power Mop. Tired of the mop and bucket struggle? The Swiffer Power Mop gives you a mop and bucket clean without all the extra work. It's an all-in-one cleaning tool that mops smarter, not harder. With built-in solution that breaks down dirt and grime, and a pad with over 300 scrubbing strips to absorb and lock sticky messes. It even gets into places a regular mop can't, and leaves your home smelling fresh for hours. Try the Swiffer Power Mop today. Love it or your money back.
For over 22 years, speaking on business on KSL News Radio has been a beloved tradition, celebrating our heroic business leaders and Utah consumers who have helped build one of the strongest state economies in the nation. Now, under the stewardship of the Salt Lake Chamber and hosted by Chamber President and CEO Derek Miller, the program continues to shine a spotlight on those who make Utah's business environment dynamic and thriving. With his expertise and passion, Derek brings the stories of our business community to life. As part of the Salt Lake Chamber, Speaking on Business is proud to continue its legacy of highlighting inspiring stories, trends, and special guests. Support Utah businesses now and be part of Utah's thriving economy. More information can be found at slchamber.com. That's slchamber.com.
Getting help with electrical repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
An expanded Inside Sources. Inside Sources.
So earlier today, we spoke with Senator John Curtis, and one of the things we talked about is the importance of energy conservation and production. Steve Handy is guest hosting the show with me. He's an authority on energy in Utah, and I wanted to play a little clip because you've had a lot of experience with permitting reform.
Yeah.
But we had this from Senator Curtis earlier.
Steve, you know, it's funny. I keep saying permitting reform, and to be honest, the average person looks at me with glassy eyes.
Yeah.
So let me translate permitting reform, right? For what it means lower utility rates. it means cleaner energy, more affordable energy, more reliable energy, and it means coming from Utah. Now, how does that all come together? Right now, the federal government is so tied up in knots about approving projects that we're not getting them going. When we don't get them going, utility rates go up. We have to buy fuel from our adversaries. So clearing that federal backlog, that bureaucracy, and not skipping steps. Nobody wants to skip the important steps, but just doing it in a more timely manner is just critical. And now that AI has entered the scene, everybody's a little worried about AI taking the power from consumers, and that's what needs to happen so that the lower utility rates, energy dominance.
So permitting reform, you had an example that you shared. Can you just share with our listeners again about maybe Transwest?
Yes, I will. In fact, 2 weeks ago today, the National Conference of Environmental Legislators was in Salt Lake City. They had about 25 people just over here at the depot here. And I was on a panel that we talked about this, and this is my case study. So I was on the Energy Committee in the legislature in about 2013-14. A group called the Transwest Express came through and said, hey, we're going to run a DC line through Utah. We're building perhaps in southwestern Wyoming the world's largest wind farm, and we want to get this renewable energy to the lucrative markets in California and in Nevada. And to do that, we've got this is the Obama administration, for crying out loud, Holly, and we are going to fast track this because of all the federal land, and we're going to permit this quickly. And so we did some legislation that enabled us to be able to talk to them. We got to have an off ramp, which they finally agreed to out here in Delta, out by the Intermountain Power Project, and which is so critical. And but still, they didn't start construction until 2023, and spent about $4 billion. Wow. So it was almost 20 years of planning, permitting, to get this done, and that's outrageous. When I was in Washington last week, I mean, I forgot some of the statistics, but how quickly China is building transmission lines.
Yeah.
And I want to be protective of the environment. I want to be conservative in that way, but NEPA needs reforming. The National Environmental Protection Act needs reforming, and that's got to be done. So we've got to think a lot smarter, as the senator indicated, in this, particularly if we're going to stay ahead with artificial intelligence, the need for these huge data centers to be able to provide for that. So we've got a lot of work to do, Holly.
I want to just ask you a little bit about those data centers. So I know that they've just broken ground down in Millard County for this big facility. I know that part of the discussion with Utah saying we want to be able to use nuclear energy in these smaller modular units has to do with data and AI.
Yeah.
What kind of impacts do you think that might have on like everyday consumers like me and you? Is it going to jack our prices up? Are we going to have better access? How does that impact a normal consumer?
Well, the way it impacts is you have to have. I mean, I'm a real fan of renewable energy because we need everything we can get in this growing. I mean, Governor Cox's Operation Gigawatt, double Utah energy production by 2030, and that is a huge goal. And so part of that are these small modular nuclear reactors. But in going to your question, to answer your question, it will hopefully affect us if we can, as we transition from base load coal because of the continuing expense and the environmental concerns with burning coal, and we're just transitioning away from that. We transition to geothermal as another opportunity here for base load and nuclear, but you have to get these transmission lines to get it to the market. And as the senator said, and I agree with this, that what we're trying to do is ensure that we have affordable, reliable, dispatchable energy going forward for the future. And that's you and me in our pocketbooks too.
Yeah. So with this permitting reform, and we talked about this with Senator Curtis, but I was in the legislature almost 15 years ago, and we were having similar conversations, and yet it doesn't really seem like much has changed in that time. So what kind of hope do you actually see for change?
Well, the longer I was in the legislature and working on this and working in energy policy, I have determined that the most important thing is to get government out of the way. We need controls. We can't have, the wild, wild west. We're in the west, but we have to have extensive permitting reform. But let American innovation just go to work. Let American innovation just let the market work. And if we can do that, we can achieve these necessary goals that we have talked about.
And isn't this an issue really that goes to the federal level? This isn't really something that Utah can control, is it?
Well, that's exactly right. When I was talking to the Council of Environmental Legislators, I mean, they want them to be informed and understand, and then to talk to their federal delegations, because with Utah being, 65-70% federal land, we don't have control over that. We should, but we don't have control over that. And that's got to come from the federal government, Holly.
Yeah.
And so that's where that's why we were in Washington, 40 of us, talking to congressional members. And John Curtis, Senator Curtis, is a leader in this. He's a recognized leader, and looking forward to having him lead out in this great effort.
Well, we've been talking off and on about the Utah legislature, and we're going to talk about them again. So Governor Cox recently said that we need housing and we need cities and towns to do more, and teased the idea that the Utah legislature might pass a universal zoning law overriding city government. So we're going to talk about that issue with Deseret News opinion editor Jay Evenson when we come back after this break.
10:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour. Firefighters in Lehi are right now digging through what's left of an apartment complex under construction where it's safe after it went up in flames. Brianna Larson lives close to the construction site, and she wants answers.
How did that start? Did they get electrical in and something happened? Is this arson? What could possibly be the reasons?
She tells KSL TV she couldn't believe how quickly the fire spread. No one was hurt in the fire. Firefighters from all around northern Utah County and southern Salt Lake County helped fight the fire. Firefighters say some of the structures still standing could collapse, making their investigation difficult. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. The Supreme Court is going to hear arguments in a dispute over mail-in ballot deadlines.
The case raises the question of whether states violate federal law when they allow the counting of ballots cast on or before Election Day but received by officials days later. 17 states and Washington, D.C. allow for that. Republicans are suing, saying ballots received after Election Day should not count. The High Court will likely decide this case by the end of June, and its outcome might prove to have a dramatic impact on future elections, beginning with next year's midterms.
ABC's Stephen Portnoy reporting. Your money at this moment, the Dow now up 124 points to 47,111. Coming up, we've got beautiful fall weather before a storm later this week. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 10:31.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Cunahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions and bring you a special Black Friday offer.
Hey, everybody, Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have Leaf Filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/radio to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
That's leaffilter.com/radio. And now, as a special Black Friday offer, you can get a free gutter inspection, plus up to 35% off. This is our best offer of the season. Unlock it now at leaffilter.com/radio. See representative for warranty details.
Experience the timeless Christmas classic that has captivated audiences nationwide. From the Michael McLean family to your family. See The Forgotten Carols musical.
Like the Christ child was, we are not
with an unforgettable story and songs that are a Christmas tradition. Come meet our next generation and share the magic of Christmas in Orem, Salt Lake City, Ogden, Tooele, Logan, and Saratoga Springs. Tickets at ForgottenCarols.com.
This is the story of the one. As a custodial supervisor at a high school, he knows that during cold and flu season, germs spread fast. It's why he partners with Grainger to stay fully stocked on the products and supplies he needs, from tissues to disinfectants to floor scrubbers. All so that he can help students, staff, and teachers stay healthy and focused. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done. This is the story of the one. As a custodial supervisor at a high school, he knows that during cold and flu season, germs spread fast. It's why he partners with Grainger to stay fully stocked on the products and supplies he needs, from tissues to disinfectants to floor scrubbers. All so that he can help students, staff, and teachers stay healthy and focused. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
The perfect present doesn't always come wrapped under the tree. Treat your loved ones to an unforgettable afternoon or evening of music and laughter with the Utah Symphony at Abravanel Hall. With tickets to our holiday programs this December, you're not just giving a gift. You're sharing a heartfelt experience that will create cherished memories. Show them you care with the gift of music this season. Visit usuo.org/holiday to get your tickets.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Mountain America's Visa Triple Rewards. And let's get the update from Heather Kelly.
We finally have good speeds on all the major freeways across the Wasatch Front, including down in Spanish Fork and Springville, where it had been just crawling along through almost all of the entire morning commute. But that earlier accident has been cleared. At least almost all the vehicles are gone. You may still run into a little bit of slowing in some of the construction zones, especially if you're on the west side belt. That's where we have the new lane configurations going on. All the southbound travel has been moved over to the northbound side of the roadway. So that is just slowing people down a bit as they work that new configuration out. But otherwise, no accidents reported right now anywhere you're trying to get to. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather will be high in the looking for a high today in the 60s through Thursday. Thursday night's when a next chance for a storm moves in, which could bring rain and maybe even snow into Friday. Right now, it is 48 degrees and mostly cloudy in Salt Lake City. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
So here's a housing dilemma. We don't have enough houses in Utah. We know that at least projections are that by, 30 years from now, we're going to be a couple 100,000 units short. We also know that the median home price is hitting around $600,000 in Utah, that Governor Cox wanted a program to put 35,000 starter homes into the marketplace. And yet we have pushback on those types of homes. And one of the things I found interesting from the municipal election that just concluded is that there were several mayors that lost their races. And when I asked people from those communities why they thought they had lost those races, and it was really this, a lot of them was this issue of housing, whether they were for housing. And it was the mayors who were for it and a grassroots movement saying, we don't want that in our neighborhood. So we have this dilemma then of we need more houses. We have communities that say we're open to it until it comes down to actually putting one in their community, and they're like, never mind. So we have Jay Evenson, the opinion editor from the Deseret News, joining us to talk about zoning and the rights that come with it. Thanks, Jay.
Thank you. It's good to be here. So everybody seems to be in favor of more low-income housing and high-density housing until it comes to their neighborhood. Mm-hmm. And this is the classic problem. When the governor announced a couple of years ago that he wants to have 35,000 new starter home units built by the end of his term at the end of 2028, I said right away, you're not going to be able to get past mayors and city councils and city zoning laws. because they look at that and say, I'm going to lose my seat in my office if I approve that.
That's right.
And if it comes down to pressure from the governor or me losing my seat, I'm going to choose to retain my seat every time.
So I think we might have seen some of that play out. So tell me what's being proposed now. Well, actually, you just wrote an article for the Deseret News about these zoning laws, and you had some information in there that I thought was really interesting. Can you just set that up?
Sure. I don't know which information you thought was particularly interesting.
Right at the beginning.
Now, the governor has really been talking about zoning and trying, I don't know if you want to say do away with it, but he made a statement that I thought was rather interesting and provocative. And he said there would be no housing problem if there were no government regulations whatsoever. And so there are some people talking about doing away with zoning laws, and they're all pointing toward Texas, because Texas is, where there are a lot of laws about anything, I think, but Houston in particular. So you talk about us being close to $600,000 for a median home. In Houston, it's about $263,000. It's a lot less. There are no zoning laws in Houston.
Wow.
However, Houston does have some ordinances that control what types of housing and construction can go where. And there are also deed restrictions that a lot of developers put on their land before subdividing it that carry on through the ownership of the land.
I don't know what that is. Can you explain a deed restriction?
Well, so it says that you can't build like a cement plant or any industrial within a certain perimeter around that particular plot of land. These in Houston, it tends to be the wealthier neighborhoods that have these deed restrictions. In the lower income and minority areas, they've either lapsed or they were never in place. And this is where most of your cement plants and your industrial construction ends up going. So there are a lot of problems in Houston around that sort of stratification of wealthy versus low income. So just to say we're going to remove all zoning laws does not necessarily mean that's a good thing. But a lot of people on the right are making the argument that zoning laws violate property rights, your rights as a property holder, because they put certain conditions on what you can do, can't do. And for heaven's sakes, we have a lot of developments now with homeowner...
the HOAs.
HOAs, yeah, thank you. That restrict what you can do, what color you can paint your house. You can't have cars on blocks out front. You must keep your lawn up. This on and on and on. People, I think, willingly agree to those restrictions when they purchase homes in those areas. But there's a movement now saying that, if you own your property, you should have a right to do basically what you want to with it. But on the other hand, the Utah legislature, and you know this, Steve, has always been concerned about preserving local government as the government closest to the people.
Right.
And cities are saying we want to have a say in how our city looks, how we develop, what we look like and what goes where. So this is kind of the classic clashing of those two ideologies now.
Yeah, and Jay, I had 2 terms on the Layton City Council before going into the legislature, and so I understand local government well, and I understand the housing crisis. I thought that Governor Cox's comment last week, what did he say? Is don't want my grandchildren to live in some state in the Midwest, I thought
Kansas or
something like that. That was great. But anyway, this is going to be really curious to see how this plays out. If the legislature, somebody sponsors a bill that then overrides these zoning laws to create additional density. I mean, the Utah League of Cities and Towns is one of the most powerful lobbying entities on the Hill, and because guess what? Next year's an election year, and they are able to talk to bring pressure from their local electeds to their representatives. I don't know anything, but I can't see this going anywhere.
Well, Representative Ray Ward of Bountiful has got a bill he says would it was kind of confusing the way it was explained to me, but it would preempt local zoning laws to allow for 1/8 acre lot homes. Mm-hmm. If you were proposing those, the city council would have to take a deliberate vote to oppose it. I know a lot of cities where I think that wouldn't be a problem.
That wouldn't be a problem, Jay. That would not be a problem.
Yeah. And it's those 1/8 acre lots that are causing a lot of problem. People don't want them in their area.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Those are the affordable houses that we need more of if we want to take care of this.
There's no question about that. We need more of. It's a crisis.
Yeah, it really is, and it's just interesting to me from somebody who has been living in the same house for 22 years, right? So, but my kids can't afford to buy houses here either, and I do have children who moved to Texas, and I do have a son who is newly married. They're expecting their first baby. They bought a house in Texas for $235,000, 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, fenced yard for the dogs, and I'm like, well, I can see why there was some appeal there, right?
Well, we're at this level now, $600,000. Do we really want to reduce the value of our homes? I mean, that would be a huge crisis and a loss of wealth in the community if our housing prices dropped. I think we're talking about trying to find a way to build new housing that somehow is more affordable and still offers the same types of amenities. And we're building farther and farther out, Eagle Mountain, Saratoga Springs, and that's creating transportation issues and problems. This is a really difficult issue, and it's not going to be solved easily.
No, very, very, very difficult. Going to take the best minds that we have and collaboration.
Well, thank you so much for coming in and talking about zoning laws and the whole division between state government, local government, and power closest to the people. We'll see how that all ends up going. When we come back, you've done the bison roundup on Antelope Island?
Yes, I have, about 15 times on horseback.
My goodness.
Oh, my goodness.
I've never even set foot on Antelope Island, I'm afraid to admit. But we're going to talk about that when we come back.
Fantastic.
Hi, this is Doug Ryden. For years, I've been telling you about products I truly believe in and that we use in our home. And one is Kinetico. We all know the downsides of hard water, tough on home appliances, frustrating spots on shower doors, but it also affects your personality. When you shower, does the water feel invigorating? Hard water can leave your skin feeling sticky and itchy. A Kinetico soft water system changes everything. It's like having a luxurious spa experience when you shower, making your daily routine something you look forward to. Kinetico, it's a difference you can feel. Their patented system uses far less salt than competitors, and they're exclusively focused on water softeners. They're the experts in their field, and they'll show you the difference for free with no obligation to buy. Call Kinetico Quality Water Systems of Salt Lake, an authorized independent dealer, at 801-576-8600, or check them out online at softwaterutah.com. Start enjoying your water. Spoil yourself every day.
KSL offers the best daily newsletter in the state. It's the 3 things you need to know. Every weekday, we deliver quality and relevant content to your inbox. No ads, no spam, just the 3 things you need to know to be informed about the world around you. Subscribe today. Visit KSLNewsRadio.com or text the word inbox to 57500. That's inbox to 57500.
Hi, this is Derek Overstreet, president of the New Millennium Group and co-host of Stop Working, Start Living with KSL News Radio. Can you imagine what your life would be like if you could retire 3 to 5 years earlier than you thought possible? The things you could do, the loved ones you could spend time with, the memories that you could create. That's what our team at the New Millennium Group does. We'll walk you through the entire process every step of the way. If you'd like to get a copy of the 5-step proprietary plan that will help you retire 3 to 5 years sooner than you thought possible, give us a shout right now. 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370 or utahsfinancialplanner.com. Listen, most of our listeners right now have a tax problem, not a money problem. There's not enough money in Social Security Medicare as it is. Let us show you how you can significantly reduce your taxes. That's 888-999-6370. 888-999-6370 or utahsfinancialplanner.com.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. Ever wonder why Big Wireless wants you on an unlimited plan? They probably want you to cover the cost of those 20-somethings using all that data every month. But most people 50 and up like me only use 12 gigs or less. Don't get bamboozled by Big Wireless. Switch to Consumer Cellular. Our plans start at just $20, and we use the same towers as the big guys. Join the millions who choose something better, because if you're not using all that data, you're probably getting used.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com/facts. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
Ready to order?
Yes. We're earning unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with a Capital One Saver card. So let's just get one of everything.
Everything?
Fire everything. The Capital One Saver card is at table 27 and they're earning unlimited 3% cash back.
Yes, Chef! This is so nice.
Had a feeling you'd want 3% cash back on dessert.
Ooh, tiramisu.
Earn unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with the Capital One Saver card. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Hello, Utah. I'm Josh with IWC Roofing. For over 25 years, my family has been safeguarding your homes with the finest roofing solutions. We value your time, and we're committed to replacing most roofs in just one day with a peace of mind 50-year shingle warranty. Call us today at 801-232-5690 or visit iwcroofingutah.com. Ask us for the $1,500 off any full roof replacement. Financing available, 801-232-5690. Utah homeowners, look no further than IWC Roofing for a roof that stands the test of time. With 25 years of excellence, IWC is your trusted family-owned roofing expert. At IWC, we offer one-day roof replacements with top-tier quality materials, all with a 50-year shingle warranty. To keep a leaky roof from dampening your day, we're offering $1,500 off a full roof replacement. Get a free estimate. Call 801-232-5690 or visit iwcroofingutah.com. 801-232-5690.
Inside Sources. Inside Sources.
I'm Holly Richardson, and I'm joined today by Steve Handy, former legislator and consultant now. And Steve, you said you have done the Antelope Island Bison Roundup like 15 times.
Yes, I have. Yeah, I have. So this is really, really amazing. A Davis County guy, and Antelope Island, it's not really an island anymore with the shrinking Great Salt Lake, but has the largest free-range, Yellowstone is bigger, but bison herd gets about 800, 850.
Wow.
And so every year need to get the herd down to about 600 to be able to have the resources on the island support that herd. And so there's this roundup done. They can do it with helicopters and other things, but they, for years and years and years, they've done this with allowing horseback riders to come in and you move the herd up into the corrals. And it's a great day, and I have lots of stories about things that I've seen happen. Buffalo can outrun a horse and charge a horse and gore a horse, and people can get hurt very badly. But the state park really has this well organized, and it's a great time. It's always the last Saturday in October.
Wow. Well, we have on the line with us Doran Pitts, manager of Antelope Island State Park. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
What can you tell us about the park? What do you think is the most important aspect of the park?
Well, that's a great question, but I think the most important aspect of the park that just makes it so incredibly special is the proximity to millions of people in the Front Range here, but then you get away within 20 minutes to just a straight solitude area where you can see wildlife, you can get away and walk and just beautiful sights so close to everybody. But the importance of it is, the wildlife that we sustain and the role we play in the ecology of the Great Salt Lake.
Yeah, and Doran, you and I talked about this, and Doran's been about how long? About a year. You came out of Salt Lake City, Salt Lake County. Can't remember, but to the park as the manager, and we're just very pleased. But what's happening out there now is a new visitor center. We call it a learning center. So when I was in the legislature over a couple years and lots of help that we did this, it had been long promised. We got a multi-million dollars from the legislature to expand the visitor center. I mean, 1 million people a year, Holly, visit Antelope Island, come from all over the country. And so that's underway, and it will be finished constructed. Tell us about how that's going, Doran, and the theater that's going to be in there, and the Great Salt Lake movie. That'd be interesting for people.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're right. Yes, we get over 1 million visitors a year. We've hit about 1 million for the last couple of years, and we're just expanding. And with this new visitor center and learning center, it's going to just continue to grow, I'm sure of it. So we do have a new large format theater. It's going to sit about 200 people. And what's so interesting is through different partnerships, one being with MPEG, which and Ducks Unlimited, we actually have a new film that's going to be shown on the island, exclusively on the island, called The Secrets of the Great Salt Lake. And it's a documentary about, the history of Great Salt Lake and kind of where it has been and where it's going and how we can help make it even, stronger and play into our lives a little more efficiently. And it's actually narrated by Mike Rowe, which is pretty fun. So it's a big deal, and we're excited to welcome that to the island and have a bunch of school kids come out and learn all about the Great Salt Lake and the geology of Utah through this interactive learning center and theater.
What's your timeline on that?
So we are looking at a completion date and a grand opening in summer of 26. But it looks like we're going to have some soft openings with maybe the theater in a few different areas throughout the Visitor and Learning Center starting in early spring.
So, Holly, I'm a member of a support group called Friends of Antelope Island Friends, and there's about 20 of us, just community people. Our role is to help support the park and the management there, and we're assisting in raising money to ensure that the exhibits in the new Learning Visitor Center are going to be just absolutely world class. And it's not cheap, but people are really stepping up because people love Antelope Island, don't they, Doran?
Oh, they do. It's amazing the passion of the visitors and people that we have come out here and just talk to me and tell me and my staff the stories of different experiences they've had. We have a volunteer out here on the island who has been volunteering for about 26 years. And he started volunteering here after his wife passed because this is where they used to come out on dates when they were courting. So it's just, we've got so much history and passion for this island. And I heard, Holly, earlier you say you've never even been out here.
It's
true.
We're going to fix that, Doran. We're going to get her on a horse.
Oh, no.
Get her on a horse.
No, I don't think so.
Even if you don't do a horse, we got to get you out here. It truly is an amazing place once you've, crossed that literal bridge and experienced it for what it can be.
Well, I will commit to you that I will make it out there, but I don't think that I'll ever get on a horse. But I do have a question. It came up when you were talking about there are 800-ish on the island, and when you do the roundup, you're trying to get down to 600.
Yeah.
What happened to the other 200? Where did they go?
Tell us about it, Doran. They're sold off, and why and how?
Yeah, so we have, and those numbers are just about accurate. So we have 800, and actually 500 is what we try to shoot for on the island.
Okay.
And that's because the island can't actually support much more than that with the resources that we have. But that being said, this year we went to auction. We go to auction every year after the roundup. And we sold about 237 bison, something around there. And essentially what these bison go for and what they do after they leave us is many things. It's manyfold. So we have some people, yes, get them and take them for beef, right, meat. But we have others that go to start different herds. We have others that go to herds that are already established to help with the genetics and kind of enrich the gene pool. We have others that go to other properties for hunts and different recreational enjoyments like that. But ultimately, the goal is that we treat them humanely and that they go towards, different aspects of people enjoying them in life in different ways.
Yeah, after that roundup, as we round them up, you take them into the big corrals and they're inoculated, and all of those things are taken. They're free range, but they're taken well care of, and a tremendous asset for the state of Utah. People come from all over the world to see this buffalo bison herd.
How many baby buffalo do you have born every spring?
There's a good one.
Yeah, that's a good one. I mean, if you think about our numbers, we probably have about 200 to 250 bison born every spring.
Wow.
So it's pretty exciting. There's such great things to see every time of the year out here. But if you want to see a little red, as we call them, they literally look like little red dogs running around in the fields once they're born. And they stay red for about a month, then they start turning a little bit darker. But if you want to see a little red, if you come out in April, a little bit early May, you'll see just tons of dotted little reds all throughout our fields. It's really a sight to see.
But Doran, we're not going to bring Holly out in April, though. We want her to see this, but if we do, because that's the infamous time of the no-see-ums, the little biting gnats that are on Antelope Island until the temperature gets to about 90 or something, and then they're gone. But everyone's wearing head nets, and it
but
can
I
be
do
rough.
love the babies.
You do love the babies. We'll get her protected and bring her out, Doran.
Exactly. And you can still enjoy the island even from your vehicle. Just a nice drive. It's super nice. But you are right. And I want to squash a rumor right now. It is true. There is a truth that the bugs out here are not fun and they can be vicious. But it is true also that they go away. So really from like April to July, that's not super fun to be out here. And that's when most people start getting that spring fever and wanting to be outside and doing things. But if you come to the island before, like anywhere from July to March, it is just beautiful, and the bugs really aren't bad.
I have one follow-up question on the babies and the roundups. Do you have a certain age that you're taking them, you're culling the herd, I guess? Is there a certain age you're aiming for?
So we don't necessarily aim for an age, but we will cull off yearlings. So we will cull off, year-olds, essentially. Mm-hmm. Yep. But then if they're a little red or if they're younger than that, we keep them with mom throughout the entire process. So even as we work them through the chutes throughout the working, they stay right alongside mom so that they can make sure that they, stay safe and stay connected. Because, when the last thing we want to do is separate mom and baby before it's well too soon.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us today, Doran. I'm going to introduce myself when I get out there eventually.
We're going to give her a VIP tour, Doran. Thanks for all you're doing, Doran.
Out ahead of time, and we'll give you the VIP.
Great. We're going to talk about shutdown when we come back after the break.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
11 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Claire Scott, KSL's top story this hour. And it is breaking news. Salt Lake County Council has voted to extend funding for 4 subsidized daycares until the end of the school year. The county was originally expected to close the daycares at the end of 2025, but after a lot of pushback from the public, they voted on a special proposal today to continue allocating the funding through the end of May to give families more time to find alternatives. The council members who voted no, like Suzanne Harrison, say they're glad families will get more time, but they object to closing the daycare at all.
I just can't in good conscience vote for this because we can do better. As a county, we should have done better, given a longer runway, looked for sustainable options.
The county has also voted to implement incentives for daycare employees to keep them on until the programs close. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. Despite talk of a potential breakthrough in the congressional budget deadlock, tens of thousands of federal employees are still on furlough or working without a paycheck.
Around 2,000 commercial flights have been canceled today, another 14,000 delayed as staffing shortages gut air traffic control facilities. Even when the government reopens,
this shutdown isn't a light switch. It's not just on and it's not just off.
Nick Daniels heads the National Air Traffic Controllers Association.
If the shutdown is to end tomorrow, controllers still haven't been paid yet.
Daniels insists there has been no organized sit-in staged by his group's members. Jim Ryan, ABC News.
Your money at this moment, the Dow is up 244 points. The S&P is up 87 points. And coming up, highs in the 60s. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 11:02.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
The power of we believes in you. It advocates for you. It completes your circle. It makes sure you have the strongest circle possible. And with Intermountain Health in yours, you'll always have the care you need to live the healthiest life possible. That's the power of we. Intermountain Health.
For over 22 years, speaking on business on KSL News Radio has been a beloved tradition, celebrating our heroic business leaders and Utah consumers who have helped build one of the strongest state economies in the nation. Now, under the stewardship of the Salt Lake Chamber and hosted by Chamber President and CEO Derek Miller, the program continues to shine a spotlight on those who make Utah's business environment dynamic and thriving. With his expertise and passion, Derek brings the stories of our business community to life. As part of the Salt Lake Chamber, Speaking on Business is proud to continue its legacy of highlighting inspiring stories, trends, and special guests. Support Utah businesses now and be part of Utah's thriving economy. More information can be found at slchamber.com. That's slchamber.com.
We just want to have enough money for retirement.
And travel to visit our grandchildren.
I understand. That's why at Fisher Investments, we start by getting to know each other, so I can learn about your family, lifestyle, goals, and needs, allowing us to tailor your portfolio.
What about commission-based products?
We don't sell those. We're a fiduciary, obligated to act in your best interest.
So how do your management fees work?
We have a simple management fee based on the value of your portfolio, so we do better when you do better.
We appreciate that kind of transparency.
We also check in with you regularly to keep you up to date on the markets and your portfolio.
Well, what other services do you offer?
As a client, you have access to resources on investing, financial planning, estate planning, Social Security, Medicare, and more.
Wow, sounds like Fisher Investments has everything we need.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at fisherinvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America's Visa Triple Rewards. Here's Heather Kelly.
Well, we did have a crash northbound I-15 right at the point of the mountain coming from Utah County, just as you're getting into the Salt Lake Valley, but it just pulled back into traffic 30 seconds ago, so it's not blocking any lanes and not causing any slowing as you try to get through the Bluffdale Draper area. You also have good speeds southbound I-15 through Weber and Davis counties. No problems right now getting out of Tooele County or going through Parleys Canyon on I-80. Odyssey Dance Theater's Christmas Spectacular, starring David Osmond. Fill your heart with the Christmas spirit this year. Visit odysseydance.com for tickets. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
A high of 61 today with partly cloudy skies. Temperatures steadily rise over the next few days, even nearing 70s on Thursday. Then on Friday, storm moves in, bringing rain and possibly snow to the valley. Right now, 52 and mostly cloudy. I'm Claire Scott from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com for Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
I'm Holly Richardson, and I'm joined by Steve Handy today. And he was talking with us earlier in the show about being in D.C. last week. And we have with us Deseret News congressional correspondent Cami Mondo to tell us about this potential breakthrough, maybe after 40 days and 40 nights of stalling. Now we might have a little bit of sunshine. Hi, Cami.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. What can you tell us about these efforts to reopen their government? I know that there was a vote in the Senate yesterday. We heard from Senator John Curtis earlier. What's happening today?
Yes, we're finally starting to see these wheels have been turning that we've been waiting this entire time for. Yesterday, they passed the very first procedural vote that they needed. It was that 60-vote threshold that they've just been failing to get at this point since they needed 8 Democrats. They got exactly 8 Democrats last night. Now we're just waiting for some more procedural votes tonight. We're unsure of the timing, but once we get those through, we'll be on to final passage in the next few days.
Cami, this is Steve Handy. Holly and I were talking about this on my way into the studio this morning. They were interviewing it wasn't the Utah wife of a former, traffic control, said it took several months for that back pay to catch up. That's a disaster. But what do you know about that?
Yeah, so we are still expecting that they will be able to get off their back pay. That was a question kind of earlier on in the shutdown of who would get it. As of right now, we're expecting them all to. But as you said, it could take a while to sort all of those things out. Concerns with airports, just with their own operations, could take a while to also iron all of that out. So it's definitely not going to be, a snap of the fingers. Everything's going to go back to the way it was before. It is going to take a while, especially since this is the longest shutdown we've ever had in this country. We don't know exactly how long it could take to get everything back up and running.
Yeah, that story Steve was referencing was one that I heard too that was concerning, because one of the things they said is that they were taking out the insurance premiums because they hadn't been paid.
Yes.
And so it took like the entire check. And we're going into the holidays, and so these people haven't been paid in 40 days. I'm just wondering about that. Have you heard any conversation at all about trying to help these people not have no money going into the holidays?
I'm sure that will be a discussion once we do get things kind of back up and running. Even when you try to ask lawmakers about kind of what's happening next, they try to just stay on track of where we are right now. But, I'm sure we will seeing more movement, whether it's legislation or just other individual efforts to make sure that these go through. Just because a lot of lawmakers up here are very frustrated with how this went. They're very frustrated that a lot of their constituents won't have money. You had Senator Fetterman, I think it was last week, I was talking to him, and he said he's very concerned about a food bank Thanksgiving because a lot of this money or checks may not go out yet. So that is definitely a concern. We haven't seen much movement of actual legislation moving through, but I'm sure that's something that will be a top of mind.
I live adjacent to Hill Air Force Base. Hill Air Force Base is a $7 billion a year economic impact in the state of Utah. And I'm a member of a Rotary Club, the Layton Rotary Club, and we are doing things with the Airman's Attic, for crying out loud, to provide food for the airmen. I mean, it's just absolutely outrageous what's happened. And what's happening is just terrible. You think about those in the military not being, are the Cami, are the military members, have they been paid all the way along, haven't they?
They were paid first paychecks for sure.
Yeah.
Paychecks were confusing, and where they said they had found more money, but it wasn't clear if everybody was going to be able to get those. But they have been, for the most part, taken care of.
Yeah, gotcha.
I understand that if the shutdown continues past Friday, that's when they would miss their first paycheck. But those are just active duty. There's reservists. There are people who are civilians that work for Hill Air Force Base, et cetera. So I'm wondering, Cami, are you we saw Hakeem Jeffries earlier today. He held a press conference. He's not very happy. I'm seeing Governor Gavin Newsom in California, calling it basically they caved. They didn't get anything in return. What do you see a path forward to this being resolved this week sometime?
I do think that we will see at some point, whether it's sooner rather than later, it will be this week. I believe, the Senate is trying to figure out their timing right now. They're stuck in this period of debate where it is required with the procedural vote. But if, Republicans and Democrats come to a time agreement, they could expedite that and start voting tonight. But we just haven't seen movement on that yet. I was told that House leaders are kind of on standby. Once the Senate votes, they will bring the House back immediately. Some House leadership sources that I talked to this morning said they're hoping for Wednesday at the earliest, but it'll just depend on what the Senate does.
Okay, I thought I saw a report that said House Speaker Mike Johnson had told his people to come back by Wednesday. Did I misunderstand that?
Yes, he basically told them today, this morning, to start looking at flights and start making their way back just because airports are so backlogged. But they are tracking that Wednesday hopefully could be the earliest that they could take some vote. Of course, it is still up in the air, though.
Well, how ironic is this? We have these 10% reduction in flights in the United States, and Congress can't get back to Washington perhaps in a timely manner, particularly those coming from the West, because of the government shutdown that has now crippled our airports. How ironic is this? Wow.
So Cami, what are you hearing about how this might impact the U.S. in the long term? Does this seem to be something that's going to have lasting effects, I guess is what I'm asking?
It definitely could. Obviously, something that sometimes gets lost in the conversation is that this deal that's moving this week is just a temporary solution. It only punts the deadline until the end of January. So, there is a chance, a non-zero chance, that we could just be in this situation again at the end of January, especially if, maybe Democrats are once again emboldened and not getting exactly what they want in these talks. But, long term, I think we could see a lot of effects, especially heading into the holidays where things get more expensive. People don't have those paychecks, or maybe their back pay doesn't come in just yet. So I do think we will see at least a temporary hit. There were reports early on that the shutdown will reduce the deficit for a while. It will rebound, but it will take at least, a month or so to get back to where it was.
Cammie, great to have you there, closely watching this. I was in Washington last Wednesday on the Hill, and it was kind of eerie and crazy. I was telling Holly this earlier about, in the congressional office buildings, the entrances shut down, and the escalator's not even working, and the fences all around the Capitol. So let's get back to normal, and thanks for your reporting on this.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Cammie. So, look, we've got this. It's interesting, right? Because it's like, well, why can't they just vote yesterday and have it done? Well, because there are so many different procedural votes, right? And they have to have a conversation. And one of the things that Senator Curtis told us earlier is that they can move forward and have things done today if all 100 senators are on board. I'm thinking that's probably not going to happen.
I'm not betting on that. I'm not taking that bet, Holly.
Right. So it's going to probably take a few days for it to work its way through the Senate. And then, of course, the House has to vote. There's going to be pushback from the Democrats. But again, they're in the minority party. So over there, you only need a simple majority and not a supermajority.
Not a supermajority in the Senate, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Look, when we come back, we're going to talk about a new research snapshot about women and substance use disorders in Utah. It was released by the Utah Women in Leadership Project, and we're going to talk with one of the authors when we come back after this break.
Folks wait till January to say, I should probably fix this or do something about how you feel. But you know what? You're going to go into 2026 with the resolution already done, because soda helps you lose the weight now, so your New Year's all celebration.
You and I both started our soda weight loss journey in October and November, right? And I loved going into holiday parties knowing I had a plan. It wasn't just, I'm going to try not to. It was, this is my plan, because I've spoken with a nutritionist, and I get a jump start on that, first of the year goal by beginning soda weight loss right now.
Yeah, there's no guesswork. You're supported every step of the way, and you need that. And right now, there's an amazing offer from Soda for you and your partner. You join, and your partner joins for free.
So why gain 20 pounds just to lose it in the new year? Go to Soda Weight Loss today and begin today.
That's sodaweightloss.com, SOTA weightloss.com, because soda is, say it with me, Amanda, state of the art.
This is the story of the one. As a custodial supervisor at a high school, he knows that during cold and flu season, germs spread fast. It's why he partners with Grainger to stay fully stocked on the products and supplies he needs, from tissues to disinfectants to floor scrubbers. All so that he can help students, staff, and teachers stay healthy and focused. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Workdays can be unpredictable, but your workwear shouldn't be. With the Cintas Apparel Plus program, you'll have freshly laundered garments for everyone on your team delivered every week. Cintas has workwear for just about any job imaginable, with high-performance fabrics and an uncompromising fit that stretches and moves with you. Don't leave looking and feeling good to chance. Visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
Imagine all that could happen in 5 years. Jobs may change, kids grow, new memes will come out. But also, what if you had reliable, intelligent Wi-Fi and the price didn't change for 5 years? Thanks to the Xfinity 5-year price guarantee, you actually don't have to worry about that part of your future. You're guaranteed 5 years of Wi-Fi that boosts speeds to your devices that need the most, finds and fixes any issues before you even notice them. It's like a super intelligent Wi-Fi that keeps you protected from threats online. Plus, you get incredible gaming speeds on multiple devices with no one battling for bandwidth. bandwidth. For the next 5 years, all your devices will be working in perfect harmony, and you get their best equipment with no annual contracts, no fees, no strings. So even though your kids will grow up and you still won't understand 6-7, your internet will stay sharp, reliable, and most important, the price will stay put. All with the Xfinity 5-year price guarantee. Lock in your price and unlock the possibilities. Xfinity. Imagine that. Restrictions apply. Select plans only.
At Common Spirit Health, we know that lifelong health and well-being starts with primary care. So we have doctors and providers who see you, hear you, know you, and understand you. Because understanding you means understanding your needs. And that leads to a deeper knowledge of the prevention, wellness, and treatment options that may be best for you. It's primary care that treats your whole family like family. It's primary care with human kindness. Discover all the ways you can find and connect with a primary care provider at mountain.commonspirit.org.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Cunahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions and bring you a special Black Friday offer.
Hey, everybody, Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have Leaf Filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/radio to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
That's leaffilter.com/radio. And now, as a special Black Friday offer, you can get a free gutter inspection, plus up to 35% off. This is our best offer of the season. Unlock it now at leaffilter.com/radio. See representative for warranty details.
Save $2,500 on a new furnace and air conditioner from Any Hour Services. For more information, call Any Hour Services or schedule a free estimate online at anyhourservices.com.
Need to replace your Social Security card? In most states, you can request one online with a My Social Security account. A My Social Security account gives you secure access to your personal earnings history and benefit status. You can also get a proof of income letter, estimate and apply for benefits, and more. Save time. Go online. Open a My Social Security account at ssa.gov/myaccount. Social Security. Securing today and tomorrow.
Produced at U.S. taxpayer expense.
The new Inside Sources.
So here are some sobering statistics. Substance use disorders, specifically the misuse of opioids, is plaguing America in what many are calling an opioidemic. In 2017, more than 72,000 Americans died from drug overdose. That was up to 105,000 in 2023. And in Utah, there were 606 overdose fatalities in 2023, the most ever reported. And this is the thing that's extra sobering, I guess. While men are more likely to die from a drug overdose, women are more likely to be prescribed opioids and to develop an addiction. So those are some numbers that are just kind of shocking, to be honest. So the Utah Women in Leadership Project up at Utah State University just released a research snapshot about substance use disorders among Utah women. It's a 2025 update. And we have on the line with us one of the authors. It's Corinne Clarkson, who's going to tell us about some of the additional details. Thanks for joining us, Corinne.
So happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So what can you tell us? What did you find when you updated this report for 2025?
Yeah, and I did not write the last one, but it was interesting to see this year how things have been changing. As you said, I also struggle to say it, the opioid epidemic continues to grow. There continues to be overdose deaths. Utah definitely isn't the worst, but it's not spared from this epidemic. But it is interesting to see the different techniques, organizations, movements to help fix the problem and see some of the benefits of it, but also seeing how the drugs have changed, how fentanyl has become even more prevalent in the state. So even though some things like alcohol abuse or heroin abuse has gone down, the overall numbers have increased because of the introduction of fentanyl, which was sobering and interesting.
Corinne, this is Steve Handy. Listen, co-hosting today with Holly.
Hello.
This is it is shocking information, and I have been following this for a while when I was an elected official, and I had thought, obviously incorrectly, that the opioid epidemic had subsided somewhat because physicians were prescribing less. But a lot of this, apparently what they're getting are illegal substance, fentanyl. Is that correct? So that's one question. Then the other thing is, what do you hope will come from this stark report? What do you hope will come from this?
Yes, and we definitely didn't cover everything in the report. There are still a lot of maybe holes in the data. But yes, I believe it's not as much as, though it is prescription opioid, especially among women, continues to be an issue. But it is the illegal use of drugs. And in the report, we make sure to use substance use disorders to kind of show that there's many different factors that go into these mortality rates. And then your second question, I think it's a good question. I think, like you said, and what I believe too as well, is that this wasn't as big of a deal as it is, that, you kind of stop seeing the billboards about the opioid addiction.
Right.
And it stops being in your face, and so you don't think it's an issue when it is. It's just kind of maybe moved to different areas, or but it is still an issue that needs to be addressed.
Yeah, and you're hoping that policymakers and others, and what you're doing right now is this opportunity on KSL to raise awareness with the listeners this morning, and that better education will hopefully provide better outcomes to be able to arrest this crisis.
Yeah. So, Corinne, one of the things that stood out to me was pregnancy use. So, or misuse, I guess.
I saw that too.
Yeah. Nearly 1 in 10 Utah infants were prenatally exposed to substances, mostly opioids, which is 33% higher than in 2010. But I'm looking at your study, and it's got, you have some numbers in there about the babies being born addicted, right? And can you talk to our listeners a little bit about what you found with that?
Yeah, I also found this very, very interesting. This section in the report talks about how women have specific factors that affect, or not variables that affect women differently than men when it comes to substance use, and pregnancy and postpartum is a huge part of it. I believe one of the statistics said that 80% of mortality in women or during the pregnancy stage happens postpartum. And I don't know if this is the data or not. Having just had a child myself, I think there's a lot of physical changes, emotional changes that sometimes aren't taken into account, which may it has to negatively affect women that may be predisposed to have substance use disorders. But I also found that data about babies incredibly sobering, which I keep saying sobering, which is kind of an ironic word to use in this context, but it's a little scary. That's way higher than I thought it would be. And there's a lot of different, and then also trauma. We talk about that in the report, how there's domestic abuse, sexual abuse that also plays into this use of substance. And then put it in the context of being pregnant or having a baby, it can create a big problem that needs to be addressed.
I wanted to comment a minute on that, what you just said, Corinne, that area about trauma and domestic violence. I'm on the board of a crisis center in Layton called the Safe Harbor Crisis Center. This week, actually, we're having a gala to raise money on Thursday night. And
wonderful.
It's just absolutely an epidemic. We keep using that word. But I hadn't made the connection between trauma and this opioid abuse. But it makes sense. It makes sense, unfortunately.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, no, for sure.
So one of the things that our family, we built it largely by adoption, and a couple of our kids came from a birth mother who was addicted to methamphetamine. And so I've seen lifelong impacts. They're adults now, and I've seen lifelong impacts from the drug use during pregnancy. And I think sometimes people maybe downplay, or we don't think it's that big of a deal. And yes, the babies go through withdrawal, and it's really awful to witness. But after that, then they're okay, and they're not always okay.
Yeah, and we've had some of this in my extended family too, where this has lifelong effects.
Yeah,
this prenatal.
Yeah. So, Corinne, what are you? What options or resources are available for women who maybe have been prescribed opioids, but they're finding themselves using it past the time that it was prescribed, or for family members who see this happening? What resources did you guys write about?
Yeah, and it's. I wanted to comment on what you said, though. That's amazing. Not amazing, but incredible to watch the lifelong effects of these drugs on babies. I think is something I would like to see more research on, because it's super important. But yes, no, there are so many resources listed in the report as well. Different homes across Utah. Stop the epidemic. I'm struggling to say it out loud. I can type it. Yes. On their website has lots of different resources to use. The state of Utah, their health department has a lot of different videos that I found, just as someone who's not really, luckily I don't have a lot of exposure to drugs, prescription or not, but it was really interesting to see, even if you're being prescribed opioids for a medical reason, which a lot of people are, there's a lot of safeguards that that can be in place. Utah has passed a lot of legislation recently as well regarding, and I can't say, I should have practiced before this. I can type it out. Naxalone, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Is how you
Naxalone,
pronounce it.
yeah, right, Naxalone.
Naxalone. That people can have that without there's no criminal effects.
And that can,
anyway,
that can reverse an opioid overdose.
To reverse.
Right.
An overdose, yes.
That's right.
Yeah, which is incredible to me. It's a very simple, if someone has that on hand and someone overdoses, it's a very simple safeguard. So, and legislation has helped with having more access to that around the state as well, which is great.
Thank you so much for joining us today, Corinne. This is Corinne Clarkson, one of the authors on this new snapshot on substance use disorders among Utah women. When we come back, we're going to talk about alcohol.
Yeah, keep it going, Holly.
So much fun today.
11:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Claire Scott, KSL's top story this hour. And it is developing news. Several daycares on the chopping block in Salt Lake County will continue to be funded, but only through the end of the school year. The county council has just voted to extend the funding through the end of May to give families time to find an alternative before the 4 daycares close for good. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. The FDA has decided to remove the black box warning label from drugs used to treat menopause. Dr. Alicia Jackson is the director for HHS Advanced Research Project Agency and says hormone therapy is safe and effective.
Menopause shortens women's lives. Today that changes. The black box warning on estrogen, a label based on the flawed, overgeneralized, and misinterpreted WHI study, kept tens of millions of women from accessing this essential hormone.
Federal officials say almost a third of women who did not use these drugs due to the black box warning. Your money at this moment, the Dow is up 264 points. The S&P is up 87 points. And coming up, temperatures on the rise. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 11:31.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
As the temperature sinks a little lower and the wind blows a little harder, next thing you know, the winter cold is going to be seeping in through your old drafty windows. So now's the time to call Advanced Window Products for custom-crafted, state-of-the-art windows that'll seal up your house and cut your heating bill. Get on their schedule before winter, and not only do you get factory direct pricing far below what the big-name companies charged, but Advanced will knock an extra $2,500 off your quote. They'll create beautiful double-pane windows with insulated frames, any style, any color, and the security features to keep your family safe. You'll get a lifetime warranty from a local company in business here for 39 years. Financing? 60 months, 0%. Or even buy now, pay later. So make the call. Seal up the house for winter with $2,500 off on 10 windows or more. Call for a quote, 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100, or go to advancedwindows.com.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today. 1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Donate your car today at carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K. Your car, running or not, can be picked up as soon as the next day. You'll get a maximum tax deduction and a vacation voucher.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Now accepting donations of land, homes, buildings, or any kind of real estate.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Cunahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions and bring you a special Black Friday offer.
Hey, everybody, Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have leaf filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/deal to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
That's leaffilter.com/deal. And now, as a special Black Friday offer, you can get a free gutter inspection, plus up to 35% off. This is our best offer of the season. Unlock it now at leaffilter.com/deal. See representative for warranty details.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America's Visa Triple Rewards. Here's Ricky Meese.
A nice and quiet drive on your Valley freeways. Crews are still on the scene of the crash from this morning northbound I-15, 1400 north in Springville. That's near the SR-75 junction. And for downtown drivers, heads up. A right lane is partially blocked with officers, and this is northbound at 3rd West as you're approaching North Temple. No matter the weather, your feet can feel fantastic. Find the Good Feet location nearest you at goodfeet.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
A high of 61 today. A bit of haze moves in tomorrow, and we'll see temperatures rise to the upper 60s before a storm on Friday cools things down. Right now, 54 and partly cloudy. I'm Claire Scott from KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com, we're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Today it's Holly Richardson and Steve Handy. So thanks again, Steve, for joining me today.
Yeah, happy to be here.
So look, if any of our listeners listen through the breaks and hear commercials, I'm sure that they've heard an ad or two telling parents about the importance of talking to their kids about alcohol use.
Right.
And we have good news. It's working. And it's something you know about.
It is something I know about, and I'll talk about this a little bit. So I ended my my public service in the end of 2022, elected public service, and that spring in 2023, Governor, I guess it was 2023, doesn't matter. Governor Cox called and said, "Hey, Steve, I'm appointing you to the Alcohol Commission." I said, "Why?" And he says, look, you've been voting on this every year in the legislature, and every year, as you remember, Holly, there is the annual alcohol bill, tweaks and things and so forth like that, at least one. And he said, so you're well up to speed to do this. And I said, well, how much time does it take? And he said, I don't know, but you can do it. So I accepted the appointment, was approved by the Senate, and I'm one of 7 commissioners. And we're all part-time. Once in a while, a check shows up for our mileage, and maybe some meeting pay, but we're not in it for the money. And so we're doing it really to support the department. So Utah is one of 18 control states. New Hampshire, Virginia, Idaho, that's what I can remember right offhand. And as a fully integrated system, as most people know, we have 52 state stores and about 30 are what are called package agencies that in rural areas where there are alcohol sales, controlled alcohol sales. And so the commission meets once a month, and in this commission meeting, Holly, we are approving violations that have been adjudicated. We have an assistant attorney general whose full-time job is with the department, to support the department. We have then also, we're granting bar licenses, and we're granting also full-service restaurant licenses and some other business that we're conducting. So there's really a great group of commissioners from around the state and from all kinds of different backgrounds. But on the line here, we have Michelle Schmidt. Michelle is the communications director for the department. And how are you, Michelle?
I'm doing well. How are you?
You're just doing great this morning. And when I was invited to come on, and they said, "Do you have any ideas?" And I said, "Yes, I do," because we had just gotten our last commission meeting, October 30th, as you recall. We had Doug Murakami come on, who's the alcohol education director, and he gave us an annual report that I have in my hands here. And it's Holly talked about. It's called Parents Empowered. These commercials, and so with the alcohol sales, a portion statutorily is directed off to this campaign to educate and combat and to be able to hopefully get a control on underage drinking. So, what can you tell us about the report, Michelle?
Well, first of all, Steve and Holly, thank you for having me on. As you noted, I'm with the Department of Alcoholic Beverage Services. I'll obviously work with you, Steve, pretty often. Mm-hmm. And at the DABS, we love talking about Parents Empowered because it is such an impactful, meaningful program that really benefits all families throughout the state, whether or not they drink alcohol. We are here to help ensure that kids in Utah, they grow up to reach their full potential. And one of the ways that kids can do that is by not drinking alcohol before the age of 21. We know the data shows, it is clear that when kids drink underage, it's really harmful to their developing brain. So we want to do whatever we can to stop that, to stop kids from making that choice to try alcohol when their brain is just not developed to a point where they can do that. So really excited to be here to talk about the Parents Empowered program. As you mentioned, Steve, Parents Empowered is aimed at reducing underage drinking in Utah. And the department funds this program, works directly to manage this program through Doug Murakami, who, as you noted, is our Director of Education and Prevention here at the DABS. And one of the coolest things about Parents Empowered, one of the things that I love to talk about, is that people are so familiar with the ads that all your listeners are probably used to hearing those on KSL radio. They see the Parents Empowered ads on TV and on their social media channels. But something else that makes the program so impactful is the broad reach throughout the state of Utah. We have people who work on this program tirelessly. We have weekly meetings, and they're working on it beyond those weekly meetings to take that Parents Empowered message and place it in communities everywhere throughout the state. And we have people who are part of those communities in rural areas of the state who are saying, hey, this is the best way to get this message to our neighbors, to the families who live here. And that is really one of the things that I think makes the program so effective, is being so localized in all of these communities.
So, Michelle, can you talk to us about the numbers? What did you find, or what did this report show when parents talk to their kids about not using alcohol, and then maybe parents who either don't talk to their kids or maybe they are helping their kids drink alcohol underage?
Well, we have seen for another year in a row, it's been probably about 10 years or so that we've seen that alcohol use continues to go down. The numbers are showing that the efforts of Parents Empowered are working. We get this data from kids through the use of their SHARP surveys that the Department of Health and Human Services actually manages. It goes out to kids in schools, and they answer a number of questions. So it's a completely anonymous survey. But what makes it so valuable is that we're hearing straight from the kids who are taking it. And because it's anonymous, they feel more safe to be open about all sorts of issues, including alcohol use. So we have seen that number continues to go down. And we also understand that some parents might think, oh, well, it's not risky if my child drinks at home, because then we're avoiding the risk of drinking and driving, which is obviously a risk when somebody is drinking alcohol and chooses to drive. That is not something that is safe to do. But one of the messages that Parents Empowered really wants to ensure that parents and that caregivers know is that no amount of alcohol use for a child is safe wherever they consume that alcohol, be it at home or anywhere else. So that is one of the messages that we want to ensure that parents and caregivers take away and understand that they are that first line of defense. Something else that I think is really remarkable is that the research shows that parents are the number one reason why kids choose not to drink alcohol. And I think I have a 13-year-old son. It's like he's at that defiant age. He's like, I don't know if he's ever listening to what I have to say or taking that feedback at all. But the research tells us that when we as parents show and voice our strong disapproval for them drinking alcohol, that they really listen to that, and that influences their decision not to drink alcohol.
Holly, we're speaking with Michelle Schmidt. She is the communications director for the Utah Department of Alcohol Beverage Services. And we're talking about the annual report, Parents Empowered, that the commission received, and it's public. It's on our website, and you can direct people to that. But I'm looking at the hard copy. But one of the statistics that's really impressive to me, and I'm looking at it here on page 6, it says that in Utah, binge drinking rates decreased 72% from 2005 to 2023. Wow.
That is great. Hey, thanks for joining us, Michelle. I would love to have you come back on and tell us more. Okay.
Thank you.
There are a couple of events that happened on November 10th that we need to talk about. Plus, who hunts apex predators? Turns out other apex predators.
SLC Fat Loss is having a huge holiday sale, over $400 off, making it our lowest prices of the entire year now through December 31st. With a doctor-developed plan designed for busy adults, imagine starting now and finishing the holidays lighter, healthier, and more confident, while others are gaining those dreaded extra 5 to 10 holiday pounds. With our proven plan, you could lose 10 to 20% of your body weight and still enjoy those holiday meals with friends and family. Go to slcfatloss.com now and save big now through December 31st only.
I'm Jeff Kaplan. Do I sound skinnier? I dropped 30 pounds with SLC Fat Loss. It came off quickly, and I'm keeping the weight off.
Take advantage of the lowest prices of the entire year. But hurry, limited spots available. You can even start the plan in January, but you must call now to lock in your $400 off holiday savings. Schedule your free consultation now at slcfatloss.com. That's slcfatloss.com. Results may vary.
The holiday season is shining bright at Junction Commons Park City. Join them for their second annual tree lighting on Thursday, November 20th, starting at 4 p.m. Bring your family, friends, and neighbors for an evening filled with holiday magic. Enjoy live, festive music, delicious food trucks, and the always popular Swig Soda truck, serving up your favorite drinks. Kids will love getting creative with holiday crafts, and everyone can soak in the sights, sounds, and the magic of the holiday season. As the evening winds down, gather around the highlight of the night when Outlets Park City flip the switch and light up their beautiful holiday tree as they officially kick off the holiday season. It's the perfect way to celebrate. Festive, free, and full of holiday cheer. Don't miss the magic Thursday, November 20th at 4 p.m. at Junction Commons, Park City's second annual tree lighting. Junction Commons, mountaintop holiday fun in Park City.
You've got your whole life ahead of you, so choose a Medicare plan you can count on. And that's what you get with a Medicare Advantage plan from United Healthcare. With more than 45 years' experience serving its members, United Healthcare has plans with low monthly premiums that fit your life today and as your needs change tomorrow. The Medicare annual enrollment period ends December 7th, so go to uhc.com/Medicare today. United Healthcare Medicare plans. It's Medicare coverage Utah can count on.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance supervisor at a manufacturing facility, he knows keeping the line up and running is a top priority. That's why he chooses Grainger. Because when a drive belt gets damaged, Grainger makes it easy to find the exact specs for the replacement product he needs. And next day delivery helps ensure he'll have everything in place and running like clockwork. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Makita's built for the pros who show up early, who don't do shortcuts, only precise cuts. With tools built to last, job after job, year after year. Performance that pays off, because when the job calls for the best, you answer. And when you need the best, you call on Makita. Built to be the best. Available at the Home Depot.
This is Derek Miller speaking on business. The Weber Basin Water Conservancy District provides water to homes, farms, and businesses across 5 northern Utah counties. They also focus on conservation and sustainable water management for our community's future. CEO and General Manager Scott Paxman joins us with more.
Water is life, and in northern Utah, the Weber Basin Water Conservancy District is at the heart of it all. The district celebrated its 75th anniversary this year, since it was created on June 26, 1950. Serving over 700,000 residences across 5 counties, including Davis, Weber, Morgan, Summit, and a portion of Box Elder, Weber Basin delivers more than 230,000 acre-feet of water annually, supporting homes, farms, and industries. From award-winning drinking water to innovative conservation programs, the district is leading the way in sustainable water management. With state-of-the-art treatment plants, community outreach, and a strong commitment to safety, Weber Basin ensures your water meets the highest standards. Weber Basin Water Conservancy District, preserving Utah's water, protecting Utah's future, and investing in innovative solutions for a thriving, resilient community. Learn more at weberbasin.gov.
The Weber Basin Water Conservancy District strengthens Utah's economy, protects natural habitats, and supports daily life, ensuring that communities, wildlife, and industries can thrive together now and for generations. I'm Derek Miller with the Salt Lake Chamber, speaking on business.
Mr. Max, suiting for every important chapter of your life. Weddings, proms, new job, any celebration, mission callings, and more. Mr. Max there to suit your needs with 9 locations or MrMac.com.
Inside Sources.
So we know what that is, right? That's what you are supposed to hear if a great white shark is stalking you.
Exactly.
But what did they hear if they're the ones being stalked? That's the question. So look, I saw this story and in multiple places, but there's a New York Times article about a pod of orcas that are hunting great white sharks. It is so interesting to me.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. So this has been it's been observed for a little while. So drones give us great, I think, insight into things that we hadn't seen before. But there was, in 2020, a hunt off of the Baja coast of California. Well, it's Baja, California in Mexico. A pod of orcas was surrounding a great white shark, and they were killing it. And what they have seen as it has gone on is these great white sharks are being hunted for their livers. So the orcas...
You mean they like liver and onions?
No. But they are literally chasing down these great whites, and they are they're tossing them in the air until they can literally take a bite out of their side and eat their liver. So great whites do have enemies. They're orcas.
Nature
and
gone
humans,
amok. Nature gone amok, Holly.
Oh, okay. So we also have some anniversaries.
At 7 p.m. a main hatchway caved in. He said, fellas, it's been good to know you.
So this is a song by singer-songwriter Gordon Lightfoot to mark the sinking of the SS Edmund Fitzgerald, and it was a Great Lakes freighter.
Yeah.
Today's the 50th anniversary of it sinking. So do you know that story?
I do know that story. I remember the song and a little bit of the story, but we had Gordon Lightfoot. He's passed now, but we had him in Layton 20 years ago, and he sang this live. I heard him sing it live.
So tell us the story. What happened to this on this freighter on the Great Lakes?
Well, it's kind of one of these. It's kind of one of these mysteries that you'll see on the History Channel, unsolved mysteries.
Yeah.
What happened to this? I mean, there was a storm, but why it went down, and I don't know, Holly. Have they ever found any parts of it? I don't know how many people were lost, but it was a freighter.
It seems
so there
like
were
a mystery.
lot of people, not a lot of people on it, but it was a freighter.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, and he had this hit song that called attention to it that we
50 years ago.
50 years ago.
Yep, 50 years ago. Okay, we also have another anniversary. All right, what is that from?
That is the U.S. Marine Corps anthem, the Halls of Montezuma, I would call it. Yeah.
That's right. So today is the 250th birthday / anniversary of the creation of the U.S. Marine Corps. So a big day for people who are Marines or Marine adjacent. It was 1775, the birth of the U.S. Marine Corps.
Well, that's curious because the United States wasn't even a country.
I know. It's amazing.
1776, but
well, and not even. I mean, that was the Declaration of Independence. The war wasn't over.
1789, the Constitution. But yeah.
So look at this. So I find a quote. So when I do the Utah Policy Newsletter, I do these fun facts. Not all of them are fun, but do these fun facts. But I also found this quote. So this was actually in 1943. And it's interesting to me because sometimes there's discussion. In fact, recently there has been with Secretary Hegseth about training in the armed forces, and we need to make sure we're not making it easier on the women, which they haven't been. But this was 1943. Lieutenant General Thomas Holcomb from the U.S. Marine Corps. They, women Marines, don't have a nickname, and they don't need one. They get their basic training in a Marine atmosphere at a Marine post. They inherit the traditions of the Marines. They are Marines.
Mm-hmm.
So 1943. So that was great.
The height of World War II.
Yep, that's right. So I also have some other fun facts, and this is something that I do on our last segment of the show. So today is Monday, and it's World Immunization Day. So every single day of the year has something. So today is World Immunization Day. It's also Senator Mike McKell's birthday. So happy birthday to Mike McKell.
Yeah.
He is not 250 years old.
No,
so there we go.
Not yet.
On this day in 1483, Martin Luther, which we know of as maybe the father of the Protestant Reformation, he was born on this day in 1483. And in 1871, do you remember hearing the story of Dr. Livingston, I presume? Do you know that quote?
Yes, I do know that quote.
So Henry Morton Stanley went to search for David Livingston. He had disappeared.
He was funded by a newspaper.
That's right.
To go do that.
That's right. So Henry Stanley had disappeared, and so David Livingston went to go find him. He found him near a lake in Central Africa, and that's what he said. So, Dr. Livingston, I presume.
I presume, right.
On this day in 1903, the windshield wiper was patented by a woman. Her name was Mary Anderson, and
Nice.
she invented and patented the windshield wiper.
Nice.
Also, in 1969, so this is during my lifetime, probably yours as well.
Yes, exactly.
Sesame Street debuted on PBS.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yeah, so it's pushing 60 years old. It's not quite there, but it's
not
pushing.
quite there, yeah. 56 years old, yeah.
Yep. And in 1976, the Utah Supreme Court approved the execution of convicted murderer Gary Gilmore. So I don't know if you were following the news when he was executed, but if I remember right, he was executed by firing squad in Utah. So on this day in 1976. Yep.
I remember that was a traumatic
was.
day. That was back and forth. There was a federal judge. What was his name? I can't remember his name, but he was kind of infamous, and had stopped the execution. Then it got back on, and it was a.
Yeah, he was executed by the firing squad.
It was a rough time.
It was kind of rough, and we've had a discussion on Inside Sources about death by firing squad because we have a couple of cases. We have one that's on hold right now, but when he was convicted, he said, "Just shoot me." So he was going to be executed by firing squad in early September, but because of his progressive dementia, right now it's on hold. We'll see.
Yeah.
But yeah, we had it's. I think it's a difficult way to die, but I guess it's fast.
When I was in the legislature, we keep saying that. Remember Representative Paul Ray. It used to be that they could either by hanging, and this is before lethal injection, before hanging or firing squad.
Yeah.
And then lethal injection came, and the firing squad was removed, and then because of all of the difficulties with the chemicals stuff,
and there were some shortages, I think.
And shortages.
Yeah.
The firing squad was reinstituted as an option.
Yeah, it's an interesting conversation. So I'm glad we actually don't have to go in depth on it today.
Yeah.
I will tell you a couple of other news stories that made my heart happy over the weekend. So 50,000 trees were planted at the Bear River Massacre site this weekend by volunteers, right? So that was one, if you remember that story. It was, for a long time, it was called the Battle of Bear River, but Darren... Incorrectly, right? Because it was actually a massacre.
Right.
Yeah, for the Shoshone. And to have that many trees planted in a place that had seen so much death, I think was really meaningful. There were as many as 500 Shoshone, many women and children were killed in 1863. And so the effort here to restore this, and I think recognize what happened there is something that is worth talking about. So they did, and that was great. Also, over the weekend, we had several, again, we're talking about SNAP funding and the decrease. We've had a lot of people in Utah and a lot of organizations stepping up and saying, we're going to do more. Yeah. And that has been happy for me to see too. So there's quite a bit going on. And we head into holiday season. It's always an issue. And I know the food bank, like the most donations they get is right before Thanksgiving through Christmas, but the need is all year.
The need is all year, these food banks. And this shouldn't be in this country, but it is.